the big one, it's the Ashes.
That is sublime.
At such an iconic test ground, it's really exciting.
The blast at Trent Bridge is so much more than cricket. But what is it? It's not about laws. It's about high scores. Stumps uprooted. The tunes. The roars. Forget the history. We make the history. It's not about afternoon tea. That's a bit of me. So forget the jargon, follow the marching, rumbling, beating heart of a city as it crosses the bridge from the old to the bold. Because we're not gentlemen, you see, we're outlaws. The blast at Trent Bridge, more than a game.
Good evening everybody and a very warm welcome to Trent Bridge Live. Yes, I'm delighted to say that the sun is shining here at Trent Bridge and we have some more Vitality Blast action for you once again. Game day 8 for your Notts Outlaws and the visitors are Durham. Now, we played Durham earlier on in May where the Outlaws were victorious by 5 wickets with Alex Hales top scoring on 65. Just to let you know, the toss has obviously taken place between the two captains. It's Durham that have won that toss and they've elected to have a bowl. So we will see Notts openers Joe Clark and Alex Hales coming to the crease very, very shortly. But what about the other 9 players? Well, let's find out who the Outlaws selected 11 is for this fixture. He has a high score of 89 not out in this year's campaign. He wears 33. I've just mentioned his name. It's Joe Clark. He's scored 35 50s in his Outlaws career. He's wearing number 3 this year. It's Alex Hales. He's currently on a strike rate of 150.06. It's an overseas player this year in Colin Munro. He's currently sitting on 157 runs for the campaign. He wears number 14. It's Matthew Montgomery. He needs 24 runs to reach 500 T20 runs against Durham. It's the one and only Samit Patel. Tonight is match number 171 for your captain in T20 for Nottinghamshire. It's Stephen Mullaney. He saw the team across the line in the previous game against Lancashire with the captain. It's Tom Moores. He bowled an absolute ripper of a Yorker to bowl Jos Buttler in the previous game. It's the one and only Shaheen Shah Afridi. He currently has a bowling economy of just 7.40. He's bowled in the power play before. It's Calvin Harrison. He makes his 100th career appearance this evening. He has the number 20 on his back. It's the one and only Matt Carter. He needs 5 wickets to reach 150 wickets in T20. It is the Welbeck wizard himself, Jake Ball. That is your Outlaws selected 11 for this fixture against Durham. Okay, so they are the playing staff. But what about the support staff? Well, one of those people is the analyst, Kunal Manik, Kunny to everybody here at Trent Bridge. Well, Kirsty caught up with him earlier on today to find out what is encompassed in his role. Let's find out what he had to say.
And I am pitch side, joined by Kunny, who is team lead performance analyst here for the Notts Outlaws. We've had a few mentions of you the last few games on stream, so we thought we'd get you pitch side, just find out a little bit about what you do from you. So tell us day to day in a prep for T20, what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, essentially it's my role to basically provide intel for players and coaching staff about the opposition, what their potential tactics and strategies might be, what their strengths and weaknesses are, so we're best prepped for the game. Basically, that's essentially in a nutshell. So, do you literally spend day in day out watching games from other counties around the circuit? Is it quite intensive, labour intensive in that way? I suppose it is. I mean, it's the dream job for me. I'm a professional cricket badger in essence. So, no, I really enjoy it. I love watching all the games around the county scene. And yeah, so essentially I do need to look at everything as closely as I can to be able to pick out these golden nuggets. So without giving too much away, what are the golden nuggets that you're really looking for? If you've got a bowler from our squad coming to you to ask about a certain batter, what kind of information are you able to offer up? Yeah, so I look at their boundary areas, so where they score against pace and spin in terms of their scoring boundaries. I look at where they get caught out most likely, where to put our potential fielders in the power play and outside of the power play, and also from a captain's perspective, who to bowl at who. So I mean the buzzword is matchups, isn't it? So I provide a matchups chart. Which is very loosely followed. It's sort of as a guide, really, if anything does hit the fan, if that makes sense. Yeah, all information is good information at that stage. But I'm guessing that it's not just about kind of analysing the opposition. You're integral to the team here itself as well. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it, really. It's sort of my role to it's almost like if you go into a dark room and you've got a couple of guys who are trying to attack you, I guess. It's you want to have the best intel to sort of to counter that, really, and to have the best tactics to defeat them. And on a game day then, what will you be doing? So as we hit 6:30 this evening and the players walk out, what is Kunny's role at that point? So obviously you guys provide me with a video feed, which is we give you everything so you can see it. Yeah. I basically collect data, so I code the game. So I collect information on the shot type, the ball delivery, where it's pitched, who fields the ball, basically every bit of information I can on each delivery, and that provides the database full of information on every player essentially. So I'm going to ask you this question, but I hope I know what the answer is going to be. Who's on for the win tonight? Well, it's obviously us, isn't it? It's a tight table at the moment. It's a very tight table. Everyone's on 8 points, basically. So does that make your job a little bit more difficult because you're almost trying to read the stats in between as well? No, actually, I think we take it game by game. Okay. We control what we can control, and hopefully we get 8 wins, which is the magic number to hopefully get through with 8 wins. Okie dokie. So fingers crossed for tonight for that win, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon and maybe reflect on what you do during a game up from your little box in the changing rooms. Thanks, Kirsty. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Cunny and to Kirsty for that interview earlier on today. Now the players are just being introduced to the crowd here at Trent Bridge because we are literally about 5 minutes away from the start of play. Cunny and Kirsty mentioned the table there, so let's just take a look at the North group because it is extremely tight. It's tighter than nuts a squirrel on a night out. That is how tight it is. Durham currently top of the table, only played 6 games, but look at that, there are 6 teams on 8 points, so really every game does matter at the moment, and obviously both Durham and of course our Outlaws are looking to victory for tonight. If we look at the remaining fixtures, there's only 7 games left, so once again every game does matter and every game we are looking to win. So who's contributing to the victories and to the results so far? If we just take a look at the bowling stats at the moment, you will see that top of the shop is Shaheen Shah Hafridi. 10 wickets for Shaheen. He got 5 wickets in his first 5 matches, and then he's had 5 in the last 2. Stephen Mullaney, he's took 6 catches along with his 7 wickets, and Jack Brooks, 3rd on the list, he took 4 wickets on his debut. Just to remind you of the toss news, Durham won that toss, they chose to bowl, so Joe Clark and Alex Hales will be making their way out to the field very, very shortly. So let's remind you of the batting stats in T20 this year, and you will see that it is Joe Clark, top of the shop, 254 runs, and him and both Alex Hales will be looking to add to those runs right now. So the players are making their way out onto the pitch. It's my turn to hand you over to your BBC commentary team, who will see you throughout the game. I'll catch you after for some post-match reaction, but it's over to Kyle, Colin and Dave.
Last Saturday night, so that might be a lucky omen. They're up against Durham, who are also something of a lucky omen for Notts, because the Outlaws have won the last 7 fixtures, including one just about 10 days ago up at Chester-le Street. One change for Notts Outlaws today. Jake Ball is back. He played a couple of games ago, and then the last match here against Lancashire on Sunday. He woke up not feeling too well, and Jack Brooks came back into the side. Well, Jake Ball returns this evening, so that's the one change. Ball in for Brooks. So Notts will go Joe Clark, Alex Hales, Colin Munro, Matt Montgomery, Samit Patel, Tom Moores, Stephen Mullaney, Calvin Harrison, Shaheen Shah Hafridi, Matthew Carter and Jake Ball. Durham in their bright yellow tops and dark blue cricket trousers have won the toss. They've inserted Notts, so Durham in the field, and they're already out there. We're going to get underway with some twirly-whirly stuff to begin with. Liam Travaskis, the slow left-arm spinner, is going to get us underway. Notts in their predominantly gold shirts with the green sash and the green pants are batting. Alongside me, Kyle van Vollenhoven looking on, and with a spinner on strike. I don't think we're going to have too much time to chat through this first over, Kyle, but just briefly, I can see you're looking forward once again to another absolute cracker here at Trent Bridge.
I am indeed. Thank you for having me alongside you again.
Well, you're very welcome. It's Joe Clark on strike. Will be Liam Travaskis. This pair, Clark and Hales, have history against Durham, as a couple just decide that they're going to settle on the steps of the pavilion at the far end rather than take a seat, and incredibly they let play go on. So we start with Clark bunting this up to mid-on, and there's no run. Delighted to say we've got Sue Redfern umpiring. It's not the first time we've seen her officiating a Notts game. She did a Royal London game at Grantham last year, also did the pre-season friendly against Loughborough University, as Clark is bowled. Second ball of the match. Tries to heave it away on the leg side. Travaskis just hurried it through, scurried along, and has clean bowled Joe Clark. Dreadful start for the Outlaws, and Clark, who got a century up at Chester-le Street a couple of years ago, has gone for naught. Not to naught for 1 after 2 balls.
Well, Travasky pushing that one through quite quick. Joe Clark thinking he can rock back on the back foot, pull that away and get off to a nice start, rush through, and it's bowled him. Not 0 for 1.
Terrible start for the Outlaws and Joe Clark. He's another one of those that wasn't feeling too well, was glad of a little bit of time off after a really hectic schedule. Picked up a couple of injuries along the way, able just to get his body back to somewhere like normal. But I'm afraid he's not got much of a role to play in this fixture with the bat. He's gone, second ball naught, and that brings Colin Munro out to the middle. The former New Zealand international. He's had a couple of standout innings. 60 at Old Trafford against Lancashire, albeit in a losing cause, but a terrific 87 at Kyle's old ground at Edgbaston on Saturday. Really did, along with Joe Clark, provide the anchor for that Notts victory. So the left-handed Munro to face the slow left armer Liam Travaskis. From the pavilion end, Travaskis just slows things up and steadies himself and bowls. This is eased onto the offside. So Sue Redfern is officiating alongside James Middlebrook, who's our other umpire, former Yorkshire and Northants spinner. Just got one or two foot problems, it seems, just tending to a lace at point. Square leg rather, as Munro eases this into the offside. This is a terrific start by Liam Travaskis.
Been a brilliant start. Exactly what Durham would have wanted after winning the toss.
2 out of both on the leg side, deep mid wicket and long on. Travaskis bowls, and there is Munro unleashing for the first time, gets 4 runs. He's blazed it past the diving Michael Jones at mid-off. Gets the first runs on the board of the evening, 4 for Colin Munro. Gave that a nice meaty thwack down the ground. Knots are up and running, and Sue Redfern just asks to inspect the ball just in case there's any damage. Travaskis in again off just a couple of paces. Balls again to Montgomery. That's short and that's pulled away. There'll be at least a couple here. It might go all the way. In fact, it has gone all the way. So a very decent first 4 balls, which saw Joe Clark disappear, but the last 2 balls both pulled to the fence, and Notts are 8 for 1 at the end of the first over. Bowled by Travaskis. Joe Clark out for naught.
Well, he'll be very frustrated about that. 4 fantastic balls, getting the big wicket of Joe Clark and then letting it slip there with 2 boundary balls that Colin Munro, the player that he is not going to miss out on that. We have now got the international Wayne Parnell to bowl from the Radcliffe Road end.
Yeah, Notts have got previous with Wayne Parnell from his days with Worcestershire. Semi-final of this competition at Edgbaston in 2019. Notts needed 1 off the final ball, and Wayne Parnell bowled a dot ball. 33 years of age, South African of course, former international, just plies his trade around the world like so many in the white ball competitions. Parnell left arm over to bowl to Hales, who drives into the offside, and there's no run. Parnell is doing his level best to get round all 18 counties. Durham is 6th. He's played for Kent, Sussex, Glamorgan, Worcestershire, Northants, and now finds himself in the North East, as well as a whole host of sides all over the globe. And the popular player wherever he lands, and a very skillful one as well, both in the early overs and indeed the death overs. Bowls now to Hales. He'll run this to point, no run. Hales watchful.
They started really nicely here of Durham. They're bowling really nice lengths, bowling quite tight to Hales, not allowing him to free his hands. It's been a very tidy start.
Parnell in the bright orange cricket boots, his bowling boots, sets off, runs away from us, bowls again to Hales, and he drags it onto his instep and almost a sign of desperation calls Munro through for a single. It was safe enough in the end, but it did seem he was a little frenzied to get down to the other end. You've seen 1 or 2 players in the past, Kevin Peterson one to name, always like to get off the mark early, just get bat on ball and run, and sometimes your partner just had to be on the same wavelength.
Most definitely. He'll feel better though for being off the mark. 1 of 3 as Munro shapes up to face his first ball from Wayne Parnell.
Yes, it's South African international to New Zealand international, but Munro was born in South Africa as well. Bowls now, and a lovely crisp drive by Colin Munro. Drives it up to Ben Rain at mid-off, and there's no run. Parnell only came into this competition for the third match since then. 0 for 37. It was his debut against Notts, the first meeting 10 days ago. Since then he's had 2 for 28 against Lancashire, 1 for 35 against Leicestershire, and a couple of nights ago 2 for 35 against Northants. Parnell in again, bowls to Munro, advances down the track, a push to mid-on, and gets through easily enough for the single.
Really nice, Colin Munro, good running between the wickets. Seeing that Parnell's bowling really nicely, need to take all the opportunities that they can to score, can't afford to get bogged down.
Fielder there on the discs was Alex Lees, former Yorkshire player, been at Durham for about 6 years now. Hales again pushes it towards the Durham skipper. Recently, of course, England test opener Alex Lees, and very much sort of missed out on the Bazball era. He was ensconced at the top of the position alongside Zach Crawley for a couple of years, but sort of lost that spot now to Ben Duckett. 11 for 1 after 2 overs. Parnell's over, just going for 3 runs, so that's nice and tidy here. Notts haven't got away to the flyer that they would want, and Brandon Glover, Dutch international, also born in South Africa, is going to come into the attack. Tell me about him. Do you know him?
Played a bit of school cricket against him, was always really fast, nasty fasty, as we call them back in South Africa. Bowled sharp, played for St. Stidians. They have produced some serious cricketers over the recent years, with the likes of Via Mulder, Kagiso Rabada, Ryan Rickleton, to name a few.
So from good cricketing background, Brandon Glover, a little bit of a spell with Northants over the last couple of years, and Hales has hit this one in the air. He's not going to go all the way to that rope down towards the Batman board at the far end of the ground, and as the ball plugs, he comes back for a couple. You're listening to the Vitality Blast T20 competition from Trent Bridge between Notts Outlaws and Durham. Glad to have listeners from the northeast along with us as well. BBC Newcastle joining the commentary, BBC Radio Nottingham, and those of you also following on the live stream. I'm sure both clubs have put a link up so you can see the pictures. As Glover bowls, chopped away by Hales, a favoured scoring area for Alex Hales. There's a tumbling stop there out on the fence by Nathan Souter. More on Nathan Souter in a wee while, because it won't be too long before we see him bowl, but Hales takes himself down to the other end and back again for another couple. He's on to 6 from 6 now after a quiet start.
Moving along quite nice now, looking like he's trying to catch up as Glover continues.
15 for 1. 3 half centuries in this year's competition for Hales. Again, he's met with a delivery that was wider than wide, and he chases after it and just toe ends it out into the cover region, and there's no run. If he'd left that would certainly have been a wide, but you can understand why he chased after it and flailed it away, because he does get a lot of his runs square of the wicket on the offside, does like to punch it away to the fence, but that one was just a little too wide. Glover got away with it. Halfway through the third over, 15 for 1, and Hales this time goes downtown. He's hit this one almost into Bridgeford Town centre for 6. Huge blow. Sue Redfern raises her arms aloft. That's a mighty blow for Alex Hales, and that's his first 6 of the evening. And the reason I mention that, he is now 1 behind Luke Wright in the list of 6 hitters in this competition since it started. Luke Wright, now retired on 182 sixes. Alex Hales is 1 behind him, and then the chasing pack a good 25 sixes behind him. So Hales, I'm sure, will overtake him at some point. Whether it's this evening or not remains to be seen, as he plays this one down into the ground, and it goes through to Ollie Robinson. 21 for 1.
Nice little comeback ball that was from Glover. The previous one pitched up, Hales saying thank you very much in that straight back of his head. This ball banged in a little bit shorter, about waist high, and Hales nearly chopped it on. To continue, Glover.
He's on 12, 21 for 1. Brandon Glover bowls to Alex Hales, comes again, drives into the offside. That's nicely stopped at extra cover by Lees. Well, I say extra, he stopped it at extra cover. He actually started at mid-off, didn't he, Lees? He went a long way to his left, good work. Hales gets the single, end of the over, 22 for 1, so 11 from that over the third. And Durham, I think again they're going to ring the changes. Parnell's certainly coming out of the attack, and this is going to be another Dutchman, Bas de Leyde. Tell me where he was born. I think he was born in the Netherlands.
He must have been born in the Netherlands. He did do a stint though for the MCC Young Cricketers, I think in 2019, if I am not mistaken. And
is it true that of the current crop or the current generation of county cricketers, you've either played with or against every single one of them, or went to school with them?
No, I've just been very fortunate to get games that I have.
Bas de Leyde to Hales on 13. Bowls now pulled into the leg side. There'll only be a single. And, in fact, Alex Hales didn't even want to go for the single. He was standing there almost furious with himself that he hadn't middled it. 23 for 1 at the start of the fourth over. Hales and Durham do have previous. Alex Hales made 96 not out last year at Chesterley Street, and he actually didn't score off either of the last two balls of the innings. Absolutely furious he was. He missed a couple of slow loopy bounces from Ben Rain. So that's one of his 90 odds against Durham as de Leyde bowls to Munro, who is struck on the pad. There will be a leg by here. There's a muted appeal from somebody. Hales has broken his bat. Wasn't happy with it from the previous shot, was he? And it's a nice little bit of souvenir there for somebody. They're going to have to change his bat. And also just casting memory back to 2017. What an extraordinary evening that was, where Alex Hales made 95 from 30 balls. At the time, I think Chris Gale's world record for a T20 100 was 31 or 32 deliveries, and it seemed like he was going to get it. He was certainly after it, he admitted afterwards, and on 95 he skied one many a mile up in the air, so he was out 95 from 30 balls, but not before he and Ricky Vessels had put 106 on in the power play, which at the time was the fastest. I've not heard if it's still the fastest after 6 overs. I can't imagine there'll have been too many better power plays, but not for 106 in that power play. He's got a new bit of wood in his hand, 24 for 1. I'm sure this is one that he's also taken to the nets and boshed it about a bit. De Leyde to bowl to Hales, who's on 14. And he's now on 18 because he's got a top edge off the shoulder of the bat. It flew past Robinson and away down to the long stop fence for 4. Little luckies. This is his lucky bat, Kyle.
It must be, as that's nicked away past the keeper standing up to the stumps, and no chance in catching that, and that's flown away to the boundary. Well, he'll be quite happy with the start that bat's given him, albeit not off the middle. It's still 4 runs all the same.
Here's de Leyde. Can consider himself a little unfortunate. Bowls to Hales into his pads. They'll take a run. Ball has ricocheted all the way up to Ben Rain at mid-on, so there must have been some bat involved. I was going to say they're particularly rubbery pads if it went all the way off the pad up to mid-on, but there was some bat involved. Notts, I'm almost frightened to say this, but Notts have had the wood over Durham the last few years. They've won 7 in a row now. So it must be Durham's turn, as they say, as Munro plays a textbook straight drive for 4 past the bowler. That is glorious, glorious batting from Colin Munro, and the more I see of this former Kiwi international, the more I like. Lovely shot.
Beautiful shot. Little shimmy down the wicket, straight back past the bowler. Just shows that there still is room in T20 cricket for proper cricket shots.
He's got them all, Munro. He really has. He's on 13. This partnership 33. Jale Clark out for naught. Delays the bowls, and this one's dragged away onto the leg side. The most identifiable fielder in the Durham side does the fielding, and that's because you really do need the sunnies on to look at Wayne Parnell's footwear. 34 for 1 after 4. De Leyde's over went for 11. Back-to-back 11 run overs.
Nice little comeback that from Notts. Durham starting really nicely, couple of lower scored overs, and 2 overs with 11 runs that were moving in the right direction, would you not think,
yeah,
Dave?
In fact, there was a leg by as well, so 11 against de Leyde and 1 to the extra column. Fifth over, fifth bowler, Ben Rain is going to bowl the fifth over. Lovely fella, he looks mean and moody in his photo on the big screens up there at Trent Bridge. Second spell with his home county after 6 or 7 years with Leicestershire. Rain is in now and Munro drives it back to Ben Rain, who fields off his own bowling. 31 years of age. Could be a milestone evening for Ben Rain as well. He's got, well, it says he's got 98 T20 wickets, but confusingly now they seem to lump together the T20 and the 100 wickets, and some of those are in the 100, but he's credited with having 98 T20 wickets. He's in again and bowls to Munro, clips through mid-wicket. I think Sue Redfern is signalling a no ball here as she was just moving out of the firing line. I think she was gesturing. Yes, she is. Now she stands and signals towards our scorers. Roger Marshall doing the notching for knots, and Peter Connolly is on the scorecard as being Durham's scorer today. They turn on their light to acknowledge that they've seen it. So a free hit. Ben Rain has committed one of the many cardinal sins that bowlers can't commit in this format. No balls, wides, long ops, full tosses, half volleys, but this one's probably the worst of the lot because it's a free hit. Munro on strike, gets a low full toss and just drags it onto the leg side for a single, and that'll be 39 for 1 here at Trent Bridge in this got to say top of the table match, because Durham are top of the table, and if Notts win they will go top of the table, so one of these sides are going to be happy at the end of the evening, whichever way it pans out.
Most definitely Notts will be eyeing up this game and thinking nice win here will set them up very nicely for the back end of this competition.
There's Ben Rain. Hales is on 19 from 13. Rain bowls. This is lifted over the offside for 4. Little surprised that Durham brought the fielders in off the offside, because as I mentioned earlier, that's one of his favourite target areas, and if you just drop it short he is going to either cut you through points or lift you over extra cover, but either way you want somebody on that offside fence, but there wasn't, so it's gone for 4. 43 for 1. Yeah, I heard what you said there, Kyle, and I just sort of mulled over it. Sooner or later Durham in this competition are going to give Notts a nosebleed. Let's just hope it isn't this evening from the home county's perspective, as Rain comes in to Hales, who bunts this down to long on. Durham this year in this competition, they've beaten Northants twice, home and away. They've beaten Yorkshire, and they've also beaten Lancashire, and we know how tough a task that is. They lost to Notts by 5 wickets at Chesterley Street, and they also lost to Leicestershire, so they played a game fewer than the Outlaws, won 4 and lost 2. 44 for 1. Munro back on strike on 17. Slightly open stance, just works it to mid-wicket for a single. And it's 45 for 1. Crowd has filled obviously quite considerably since the players came out. Obviously there would have been a lot in the concourse and those coming into the ground and what have you, but it's by nowhere near what we would expect for a Friday night local derby or a match of some significance, as Hales drives this through the offside. In terms of being a knockout, of course it's hugely significant, but what I'm trying to say is there's plenty of space if you're local and want to come along. Decent enough shot from Alex Hales there, takes Notts to 49 for 1 at the end of 5 overs. They lost Joe Clark, just second ball bowled by Liam Travaskis, the slow left arm spinner, just may have kept a whisker low. Clark played over the top of it, bowled by Travaskis, so Clark on his way for naught. Since then it's been Hales and Munro repairing the damage. More thoughts from Kyle van Vollenhoven, and then to pick up commentary there'll be Colin Frey.
Well, the slight hiccup that was the first over for Notts seems like it is not so much anymore. It's not 49 for 1 and are moving along quite nicely as Wayne Parnell is to continue.
Yes, Munro and Hales have got themselves in as Parnell bowls from the Radcliffe Road end, and this is up in the block hole and dug out by Munro, square on the offside for a dot ball, as Nathan Souter comes in and does the fielding from backward point. Lovely sunny evening again, just one or two fluffy white clouds way above Trent Bridge, but largely clear blue sky again as Parnell runs away from us and bowls again to Munro, who's paddling this one slightly uppishly round off his pads out towards the square leg boundary for a single as Stabilization comes in and does the fielding. That is the 50 partnership, 31 balls it's taken, and confirmation really with that statistic that they are getting going, these two.
Most definitely. As I said, slight hiccup, but they are starting to move along really nicely as Wayne Parnell continues.
Hales is on 28 as Parnell comes round the wicket to him, and he's pulled this away over deep backward square and one bounce four. Just for a second I thought it was a little bit close to the fielder. Out on the ropes in front of the Smith Cooper stand away on the Bridgeford Road side of Trent Bridge, but it was comfortably away from him and safe, and four more to Hales.
Lovely shot. Parnell going in short, and well, Hales is going to miss out as Parnell continues.
3 balls to come of the power play. That's right up in the block hole. Good Yorker length from Parnell and dug out by Hales just for a single. There's a direct hit at the stumps, but Colin Munro is safely in at the wicket keeper's end. And just one. That's a good ball from Parnell. It's a good recovery after the previous shot from Hales.
Lovely follow up around the wicket, cramping Hales, a bit of a toe crusher that was.
The ball to Colin Munro, who's hammered this down the ground, right back over the bowler's head for 6 into the Radcliffe Road stand. That's a fine shot from Colin Munro, who kind of just stood there and went biff, have that, straight over the bowler's head and 6.
Stand and deliver. Lovely shot. Once again, Parnell over pitching and Colin Munro saying thank you very much, I'll have me some of that, and that flies away for 6 runs.
Munro on to 25. Turned into a very good power play in the end for Notts as Parnell is in again, and Munro just cuts this one down beautifully through a wide third and away for another 4.
Well, he's not all about power, is he, Colin?
That's a great shot. And that is the end of the power play, and Notts end it on 65 for 1 with Munro moving on to 29. Hales has 33, and that was a very expensive over from Wayne Parnell with 16 coming from it off the last over of the power play. And if you'd offered Notts 65 for 1 after 6 overs when they were 0 for 1 after 2 balls, they'd have snatched your hand off.
I think they would have taken the arm.
It's a very good recovery from these two. It is a powerful top 3 that Notts have, and so far in the tournament usually at least one of them has come off, and today they've both of these two, after the early loss of Joe Clark. We've seen Alex Hales the other night at Edgbaston go cheaply, and Clark and Munro then took over. It's Brandon Glover who's coming back on, and this is steered again, just as Munro did from the last ball of the previous over. This is steered down through a wide-ish third area this time by Hales for another 4, just opening the face of the bat and kind of guiding it on its way from Brandon Glover.
Once again, Hales also showing that he has got a touch game as well. It's almost like they're trying to outdo each other here, Hales and Munro, and that's a lovely cricket shot, and Notts are moving along nicely. 69 for 1.
Glover running in from the far end to bowl 2. Hales again drops it in short, and he's powered this away onto the offside, but now the fielding restrictions have been relaxed. There is a man out there, Nathan Souter, who does the fielding, as Dave Bracegirdle was talking about. Within the first 5 overs, that is a big hitting area, a big scoring area for Alex Hales, so no surprise to see it the boundary now that more fielders can get out on the ropes, well guarded. There is Glover to continue to Colin Munro, who's pulled this round off his hip for 4. Through deep backward square. Ben Rain was the closest to it. They actually got 4 men, Durham out on the ropes on the leg side, and None of them could get anywhere near it. Rain was the closest to it, but it was beautifully steered again by Colin Munro for another boundary. 4 more. Munro on to 33 and not 74 for 1.
Well, I can't quite say this is very intelligent bowling, as banged it in halfway down, and it's a bit of a help me ball, I think, for Munro. A player of that quality is going to be very pleased with that, and well, they are now flying, I would say. Notts are really going at a rate of knots here. 74 for 1.
The run rate is up at almost 11.5 and over, as in comes Glover again. This is a better length, and down a pace comes Munro, misses it, goes through to the wicket keeper for a dot ball, and Munro has a little nod and a bob of his head in frustration at actually missing one. It's a better ball though.
Much better ball. I think Munro's trying to give himself a bit too much room there, trying to hit it a little bit too hard instead of just allowing his natural timing to take over there.
74 for 1. Here's Glover in again, and that's another good length delivery, and it goes underneath almost the bat of Munro through to wicket-keeper Ollie Robinson again. Good comeback from the bowler.
Very nice comeback, which... Why has he not been bowling there early on instead of halfway down?
Found his line and length. He's just had a little word from Alex Lees, who's run across from extra cover for a little word with him. That's gone way down the leg side. He's lost that line again now, and that is a wide call, so he'll have to bowl that one again. Notts will have an extra ball.
That's good work from Ollie Robinson there, diving take down the leg side. Those are never easy. Last thing you want is to spill that in for to be extra runs.
75 for 1. Last ball of the 7th over. In comes Glover to bowl to Munro. Oh, that's 6. That's 6 from the moment it left his bat. Over square leg, he just picked it up off his toes and deposited it in front of the William Clark stand for 6 more. Great shot from Colin Munro, and that is apart from a couple of balls in the middle of it, that's a very awkward over from Brandon Glover's point of view, and from Durham's point of view. Huge 6 from Munro off the last ball of it. It's 81 for 1 after 7.
Well, Glover's last ball of the over that went for 6, if you think about it, should not have been bowled. So that, if you're talking about margins for error at the end of the game, how much will that come back to cost him? But that was a lovely shot from Colin Munro, as to the bigger side of the boundary. The ground, pardon me, that has flown quite a long way.
Yeah, it was a long way. The wicket, as Nathan Souter is going to come on to be the 6th bowler for Durham, used so far. And this is going to be the 8th over. And he's going to bowl from the Radcliffe Road, and the strip we're using tonight is Souter is in to bowl his first ball to Hales. He's just nudging this away onto the onside for a single. In comes Liam Travaskis to field. It's quite a way over as we're looking from the Radcliffe Road end to the left of the square. The short boundary is very much on the Fox Road side of the ground, the sunny side of the ground at this time of night. We are, 6 pitches across from where Notts were playing at the weekend, as in comes Souter, and that's banged down the pitch and fielded at long off by Ashton Turner, running round and restricts Munro to a single. We haven't seen anything go into the Fox Road yet, but that's very much the short side of the ground tonight.
Definitely, I think Colin Munro will be eyeing that up as Souter continues to Hales, and
down the pitch, but that might be close to Turner, and I think Turner has caught that. Yes, he has. It was just down in front of us, and he was diving forward, and it needed him to stand up and start celebrating before we had confirmation. But Durham get their 2nd wicket. It's a wicket for Nathan Souter, and it was caught by Ashton Turner at long off, and he had to dive forward. He didn't hit it fully, Alex Hales, and just for a moment I thought it might fall short of Turner, but he's taken a good catch, diving forwards to take the ball probably only 6 inches off the turf, and Hales is gone for 39. It's 83 for 2.
well, that's a really lovely innings from Alex Hales. He has done his job at the top of the order, but let's not take anything away from Ashton Turner, who has taken a really, really good diving forward catch there off the bowling of Nathan Salter. Notts lose their second wicket, and it brings, well, the player of the month to the crease, Matthew Montgomery.
Yep, he was awarded that before the start of play. Hale's innings over then at 39. Colin Munro still there on 40 from 22 balls. Pair of them putting on 83. They came together with no score on the board. 83 in 7 overs pretty much and 1 ball. As Souter bowls again, and Montgomery just dabs him out square on the offside. Kind of goes without saying what a huge wicket that is for Durham. 83 for 2. Souter in again, full toss as Montgomery leans forward and sweeps this round to square leg. And there's a misfield and it goes through for 4. And those are not moments that Durham will want to see back again.
Tell you what, there is nothing more frustrating to a bowler that when you bowl a really nice over, you just want to get out of it, that a misfield that goes for 4.
Baz de Leyder, the guilty man, that's on the square leg boundary. Here's Souter into Montgomery. This time he's gone offside and out on the cover boundary. Here's Graham Clark to field, pretty much straight to him all along the ground. Just a single then to end the over. 88 for 2, a much needed improved over from a Durham perspective. Notts though continuing to go along at exactly now 11 and over, with Montgomery on 5 and Munro on 40.
Bit of respite for Durham in that over, a really good over from Nathan Salter. Even though there was a misfield that went for 4, that is still a really nice tidy over in the context of the game. As we have a new bowler.
Yeah, Ben Rain is coming back on. Went for 15 in his first over, which was one of the power play overs. It was the 5th over of the match. So 0 for 15 from 1 over his figures at the moment. He'll be looking for improvement here as he bowls to Matt Montgomery. This is up in the block hole, it's into the ground and caught, if you like, off the one bounce by Souter.
One of those crowd catches that the crowd get really excited for, aren't they?
Ben Rain in again to Montgomery. This is outside off stump, dropped in a bit shorter. Montgomery strokes it away behind square on the offside. Fielding is done by Baz de Leyder again, who gets hold of it this time. And Montgomery's back for 2. He's adapted very well to life with Nottinghamshire in the T20, having been given his opportunity this season. Montgomery. Rain in to him, and he's just reversed this, just opened the face of the bat and guided it away down in front of us in the Radcliffe Road stand for 4. Fielder's no chance. Bowler looks perplexed. That's one of those which, as a bowler, you just think, what are you supposed to do?
If that's not a shot of a man in form, then I don't know what is. Third man up in the circle, he got down on one knee to a fast bowler and reverse swept him for 4. That's phenomenal.
And it moves him on to 11 from just 6 balls. Good start by Montgomery. Rain up in the block hole, and Montgomery digs this out. Bowler does his own fielding. Dot ball. Again, a good response from the bowler. But Notts going along very nicely at 94 for 2. Under the blue skies. A little bit of a breeze blowing across Trent Bridge towards the shaded Smith Cooper stand and the William Clark stand. Not surprised they're the emptiest parts of the ground tonight. This is a slower ball and well fielded actually by Souter. An extra cover as Montgomery tries to get it away but can't do so.
Just going back to what you were saying, Colin, the Fox Road stand is most definitely the stand to be in the sun. Don't want to be in the shade in the cold, do you?
You sense that there is a big difference in temperature from one side of the
most
ground to the
definitely.
other. Most of the ground is bathed in sunshine, but here's Ben Rain, and this is played uppishly but safely by Montgomery. It's a little bit of a false shot, but got away with it because Well, it ended up at mid-on, but out on the long-on boundary, it was a far too long a run in to get it before it came back down to the ground. 95 for 2 at the end of 9 overs, and Rain has improved his figures. Went for 7 off that over, 0 for 22 from 2.
Nice comeback over from Ben Rain. Nathan Souter, though, this will be a nice little battle. I think this is going to be a very crucial 4 overs for Durham in the context of this game, as he is to continue to Matthew Montgomery.
Here is Souter over the wicket. Montgomery tries reverse sweep and he's out. LBW, he's gone. He is he's run and completed his single before I think he's even realised that James Middlebrook has got his finger in the air. He has to go, attempting the reverse sweep to Nathan Souter, and this time he's not managed to get any bat on it, and he's caught on the toe pretty much plumb in front. From the replay that we've just seen, Montgomery has to go for 12. Souter's got his second, and Nottingham 95 for 3 in the 10th over.
Nathan Souter single-handedly bringing Durham back into the game. 2 big wickets now in as many overs, and Matthew Montgomery, well, trapped in front playing the reverse sweep that he does usually play very, very well, but it is his downfall tonight as the new batsman Samit Patel comes to the crease.
Yep, Samit Patel in at 5, as he was the other day here against Lancashire. That was a bit of a promotion up the order from him from previous in the T20 campaign so far. But, he's in at the crease with over half the innings to go. Souter looking to make further inroads into the Notts batting order. 95 for 3 now. And Samit Patel to face his first ball. Munro at the non-striker's end on 40. Souter in to bowl to Patel, who's clipped him away onto the onside and will get off the mark at the first time of asking. As Deleda comes in off the boundary to field. And that's 1 to Samit Patel.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Colin Munro plays this with the short boundary and the leg spinner spinning it into him, or does he just knock it around for singles, seeing as they've just lost 2 quick wickets?
Must be a very tempting boundary for the left-hander to the Fox Road stand, but this is chopped away on the offside out towards the cover boundary where Deleda fields. Left-hand, right-hand combination for Notts.
It's always a handy one to have, isn't it, in the middle overs, making life a bit more difficult for the bowler and the captain to get the fields right all the time.
Souter again. Pick of the bowlers so far by some distance, and Samit Patel plays him out towards extra cover, and there's no run. Another dot ball. 2 for 9 so far. Souter from the 10 balls that he's bowled. 97 for 3. Little change as Alex Lees moves around to point from extra cover. Cover sweep moves around a little bit further. There's another appeal for LBW here against Samit Patel this time, but this time James Middlebrook keeps his finger down.
Seems like it's just skidded on there to Samit and probably sliding down the leg side.
Last ball, the 10th over, chipped up by Patel, but safely. And Turner runs in from long on to field, just a single to end the over. 98 for 3 at the halfway stage here on BBC Radio Nottingham, and also tonight joined by listeners from BBC Radio Newcastle as well. Halfway through the Notts Outlaws innings, 98 for 3, Munro on 41, Samit Patel just at the crease on 2, couple of wickets for Souter for Durham, pulling them back into the match a little bit after a very good start from Alex Hales with 39, and then Munro 41 not out. Commentary continues from BBC Radio Nottingham with Carl van Vollenhoven and Dave Bracegirdle.
It's going to be Liam Travaskis to begin the second half of the Outlaws innings. He began the first half with the wicket of Joe Clark, second ball of the match. Here is Liam Travaskis then, slow left armour, bowls to Samit Patel, who plays all around this one, not taken cleanly by Ollie Robinson. Notts 98 for 3 at the halfway stage. Certainly got the platform to put a big score on the board, but Notts, like their opponents this evening, Durham, they've not really been required to use the lower half of their batting order in any of the matches so far. This one's pushed back to the bowler. It's been very much the Durham top 3 or 4 who've scored vast majority of their runs, and the same with Notts. After Hales, Clark, Monroe and Montgomery, not many of the others have had an opportunity, as Patel drives this into the offside. They'll come back for a couple. Samit moves on to 4. That's the 100 brought up, 100 for 3.
Nice little round of applause for the batting side there.
Yes, yourself and Colin were talking. The sunny side of the ground now is very full. No spare seats at all, it seems, in the Hound Road stand. Fox Road and the Larwood and Vose full. Here on the Radcliffe Road stand they're full as well. Sliced away by Patel. He's got lucky there. Will it run all the way down to the fence? Fielder down below us just manages to stop it. That's good work down here by Glover, but they will come back for 3. So Samit Patel starts this over, back on strike in this over, gets a 2 and then a 3. 103 for 3.
Threw his hands at that one, didn't he? Samit got the outside edge that landed in the gap, and this outfield just races away from you.
Colin Monroe 41 from 23. Liam Travaskis bowls to him, and he's helped this into the leg side. Will it be an opportunity? No, it just falls short of the fielder out there. Deleda, who gets a good throw in. About 1 in 100 of those hit the stumps, and had it been a direct hit from Deleda from 65-70 yards, I think Monroe might have been struggling, but he didn't. It went fairly close. Robinson had given himself some room to take the ball. 2 more to Monroe, moves on to 43. 105 for 3, Notts Outlaws. Put into bat by Durham. Travaskis, his figures of 1 for 15. Final ball of his second over, and Colin Monroe will keep strike by getting a single. 3 times in the past here at Trent Bridge, Notts have passed 200 against Durham. The highest score a couple of years ago, 221 for 4. You'd imagine, Carl, with a halfway score of 98 for 3, they'd be suggest a little disappointed if they couldn't threaten 200 again here.
Most definitely, with a platform like that, I think that will be the plan in the dressing room. I think you can't throw away a platform like that, and I think Notts, from what it looks like, another really good wicket at Trent Bridge, and with the Durham batting lineup, I think they're going to need around about that.
It's going to be Nathan Souter to continue. What a season he's having. Went into this game one of the leading wicket takers in this competition with 13 wickets at just 9 apiece. Taken 2 more already in this innings. Bowls to Monroe, drives down the ground, should be cut off, and is athletically, but it's run away from the fielder who's down below us. It's Michael Jones, and straight away the fielder who's run round to him, Ashton Turner, is signalling that he needs some attention. Jones has got up, holding his shoulder. No, he says I'm okay. I'm okay. Made of strong stuff is Michael Jones, Scottish international. Just a little disappointed, clearly, that he couldn't prevent that going for 4. It's a good drive from Monroe to move on to 48. He's got a terrific economy rate as well, the best in the country going into this round of matches. Nathan Souter going along at just 5.2 and over. Balls to Monroe, who slices it away, and it falls again short of the fielder. And they take a single, and Monroe moves on to 49, and feet off the ground time if you're superstitious, because Notts are on Nelson. 111 for 3.
He's bowled really, really well. I spoke about it earlier about Monroe hitting towards the short boundary. He has allowed him nothing to get away to that short boundary. Really, really good bowling as he now continues to Samit Patel.
Present company accepted. I quite like a leggy. quite like to see Kyle's a leggy. This one's dropped on the leg side, a single taken, 112 for 3. So you even from here should be able to talk us through all his variations and all his skills and admire what he's doing.
You may be might be a little bit too kind there, Dave, but I'll try my best. I don't think he's bowled many leggies to Colin as he continues.
He's in now, and Monroe just slams it down the ground, and it will be caught by Turner, and is a little bit of a waste of a wicket there. Monroe putting his foot to the floor and really trying to hammer that as hard as he could, and it only flew about 6 feet high all the way from the middle to Ashton Turner on the long off fence, and Turner took a good catch. The man from Subiaco in Western Australia, the same place that Adam Voges came from. Comfortable catch, and Monroe has gone out for 49, caught Turner, and Nathan South has his third and not so 112 for 4.
He really has been the pick of the bowlers. He has summed up how to bowl on this wicket beautifully, and once again he is single-handedly reining Notts back here. Really, really good cricket, and he has picked up the massive wicket of Colin Munro. Tom Moores now comes to the crease.
Well, Notts are going to have to do something they've not done yet this season, and that is get some big runs from the middle and potentially the lower order, because Hales, Clark, Monroe and Montgomery are the only ones to reach a half century for the Outlaws in this season's competition have all gone. So Samit Patel has a start, he's on 8. Tom Moores out there to join him. There's still a little bit in the shed in the form of Stephen Mullaney and Shaheen Shah Afridi, Calvin Harrison, and then if we get down to Matt Carter and Jake Ball, probably fair to say that the wheels have properly come off this innings. 112 for 4. Left hand right hand combination, and for Tom Moores, 3 out on the leg side fence. He's got a single anywhere he wants, but Durham won't mind Notts taking singles. Moores has whipped this one away wristily. It was in the air, but he knew that Graham Clark was out on that deep mid-wicket fence. Just takes a single, gets away. 113 for 4, brings Patel back onto strike. Terrific stuff this from Souter, 3 for 17. Bowls now to Patel, who gets a single. And it's the end of the 12th, 114 for 4. Began this year's competition, Nathan Souter, with 5 for 15 in the win over Northants at Wantage Road. And he's not really looked back since. 114 for 4 after 12 overs.
Well, Souter looks in really good rhythm, and he's certainly showing that again. Bowling beautifully, and he's seen the back of 3 of Notts' batters. 3 really big wickets, Dave, and well, he's got 1 over left. That will mean that Notts can breathe a sigh of relief when he is done. If you are Alex Lees, are you bowling him the full 4 overs?
I think you'd give him another one now, wouldn't you?
You have to. Oh, well, I thought so.
He's in nice rhythm. Neither of these two have really taken him apart. They've hardly faced him, so an ideal opportunity for another cheap over. Here's Liam Travaskis, spin from both ends here at Trent Bridge as Samit Patel works it away on the leg side, and the big fast bowler Wayne Parnell in saving one at shortish mid-wicket. You don't often see that. Normally fast bowlers are out on the fence somewhere. This has just dinked back over the bowler by Patel. Took the aerial route to get a single. Oh, a real mix-up at the far end, and well, 1 at best becomes an easy 2. That was that music can probably sum it up better than words can, but long on and long off, rushing in, almost collided with each other, and it was a little bit of to you to me, and they take a second. Patel onto 11. Travaskis bowls. Patel unleashes over extra cover. Again, he'll probably get a second run. Done a good work out here, Samit. Comes back for 2. 118 for 4. Both these sides in action in the East Midlands tomorrow. Durham play at Leicester. Notts make the short trip down the A52 to face Derbyshire Falcons. Travaskis again to Patel, and again he helps it out onto the offside for another single, moves on to 14. 119 for 4. If you're just joining us, Durham won the toss and asked Notts to bat first. Notts have welcomed Jake Ball back into the side this evening at the expense of Jack Brooks. Durham have brought Brandon Glover back in for the 19-year-old young quick Luke Robinson. Travaskis to bowl to Tom Moores for the first time, and Moores slams it back, and it's a drop chance. It was going at the speed of sound, just about. He did well, and he's annoyed with himself there, Travaskis. It was absolutely whistled back at him. Yeah, that's potentially more than the embarrassment of dropping it, the potential of some finger damage there. He was just shaking his hand, wasn't he?
Oh, I think the physio can breathe a sigh of relief now that he's got back up and it doesn't look to have done any damage. Tom Moores, I don't think could have hit that any harder. No. If he catches that, that's one of the best caught-in bowls as he continues here to Samet.
Patel has 14. Can just dink it out as far as Parnell. Good stuff from Travaskis. He's 3 overs 1 for 22. Souter is 3 for 18 from his 3 overs, and between them they've just dried up the runs somewhat. It's helped with the departures of Clark for naught, Hales 39, Monroe 49 and Montgomery 12. 120 for 4 after 13, and Notts might just have to realign their prospective target. 200 suddenly looks as quite a way off, doesn't it? 80 from 7.
Well, I was going to say that their Durham spinners have bowled really, really nicely. It's the seamers that have taken a lot of the damage this evening, and we've got the answer to our question whether Souter is going to be bowling his 4th. He is not. It is going to be Brandon Glover to continue from the Radcliffe Road end.
Glover has had a couple of overs, none for 27. So Notts will be looking for a double-figure contribution from this over, I'm sure, just to get this partnership up and running, really. 120 for 4. Tom Moores 2 from 2 faced, and swishes across the line vigorously, misses it, and it goes through to the wicket keeper. This is the only game taking place tonight in the North Group. There's one match in the South, Middlesex playing Sussex, and then pretty much a packed programme tomorrow evening up and down the country. Shadows across the ground from the floodlight pylons as Glover bowls to Moores. Drop this on the leg side, there'll only be one, and that's win-win-win for Durham. 2 balls in this over and just 1 single.
Seems like a little bit of a false calm is upon us at the minute. Dave, you feel like something is going to happen at any minute at this very moment in time. Just something's got to give. Notts have either got to play a few shots, hit a few lusty blows, or Durham will take a few wickets. It very nicely poised this game. Not 121 for 4 after 13.2 overs, so they will most definitely still be looking at 170 to 180, you would have thought, especially with the platform that they had.
Glover to bowl to Patel. Runs away from us, short, pulled away by Patel, but hits it straight to deep mid-wicket. There's only a single. Liam Travaskis fires in a good accurate return. 1 more to Patel, moves to 15. When they met at Chesterley Street 10 days ago, something like that, the bank holiday Monday fixture, Durham made 168 for 5, and Notts got home with 4 balls to spare. Shaheen Shah Afridi came in and put the finishing touches to it. 17 not out from not many blows. Down the leg side, pulled away by Moores. Again, he's not going to find the fence. That's going to be cut off. Been quite a while, it seems, since Notts have found the boundary rope. 123 for 4. In fact, they only got a single there as it left the bat. I thought, well, that's going to be a boundary, but they only ran 1. Probably should have got a couple.
Well, neither of these batsmen have got the ball to cross the line as Glover continues.
Patel on strike down the leg side. That'll have to be reloaded. Umpire James Middlebrook signalling a wide.
Well, as I was saying, none of these batsmen in their short innings so far have found the boundary yet, so that just gives you a little bit of an indication about how runs have dried up in recent times here for Notts.
Glover, Dutch international, bowls to Patel, and that's another wide-ish delivery. It was maybe a little bit extra in that. A little bit of an effort ball, I fancy, from Glover. It went quickly through to his wicketkeeper Robinson, but short and wide. One more to the total. Overall, in completed matches over the years, Notts have won 20, Durham 11, but it's only in recent times that Notts have sort of stretched that lead. As I say, they've won 7 in a row going into tonight. Down the leg side again, and signalled for the 3rd consecutive time by umpire Middlebrook as a wide.
The DJ's getting involved now.
126 for 4.
He's bowled a fair few extras this evening, hasn't he, Dave?
No good for you, 9 ball overs. Perhaps been a little harsh on Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's bowled 1 or 2 7 ball overs. Well, nothing resembling this so far as Patel slams this one away for 4 through wide-ish mid-wicket. I guess that was just all about making sure it didn't drift down the leg side and didn't drift too far down the offside, and Glover pretty much forgot all about his length, just bowled a fairly gentle half tracker that Patel pulled away for 4. So a useful contribution for Samit Patel there. That is that first boundary we've been urging in this partnership, which is now worth 18 from 13 deliveries, helped by those 3 wides. Glover in again to Patel. Oh, that's the widest of all wides. Robinson took that where second slip would stand. 131 for 4. Shocker. That'd be a 10 ball over.
Tell you what, that has really nearly missed the cut strip. Dave, there's the keeper's taken it, I think, off the cut strip towards his right hand side, our left hand side. Poor Glover seems to have completely lost his rhythm.
And the problem is for skipper Alex Lees, Glover might not be trusted to get a 4th over in after this. He bowls now, and Patel has backed away towards the square leg umpire and then misses it. The ball going between the stumps and Samit. End of the over, 131 for 4. 11 came from it. Best over for the Outlaws for quite some time. 14 have gone. 131 for 4. Tom Moores has 4. Samit Patel now on 19.
Well, that was the over that we spoke about that needed to go for a fair few to get Notts rolling again, and it did, albeit only 1 boundary in that over. The rest all wide balls, and not the best over that from Glover. And shame, I think. I do feel for him as a bowler. There's nothing worse than losing rhythm in the middle of a game or in the middle of a spell. It's a horrible feeling.
Ashton Turner's doing the hard yards. He's run all the way down from long on to long on in front of the pavilion for Liam Travaskis. Comes in now with his slow left arm spinners to Tom Moores. Can just help it out onto the leg side, out to Deleda. Quite a big boundary this particular evening on that Bridgeford Road side of the ground. Sometimes we've seen it quite short over there. It has to be said. 1 or 2 miss hits have sailed towards the top of that stand, but it's quite a big hit. We're playing towards the centre, and the rope extended almost as far as can be. Travaskis to Patel, who's on 19. Bowles, and Samit swishes across the line and really doesn't get much of a contact, but gets a single on the leg side. Patel goes to 20.
Samit Patel eyeing up a big slog sweep into the Fox Road stand. Sure, those people up there would love a catch.
Only the 4th time Samit's got to the crease in this season's competition. Here's Moores getting another single, and again it just seemed from here, obviously you can't see his face, we're a long way away, but the body language suggests he was just again a little annoyed that he hadn't properly got hold of it and managed to find a gap. Just a single for Tom Moores, who goes on to 6.
Just almost looks like they're just both trying to force it, both just trying to hit it a little bit too hard at the moment.
Patel has 20. Good stuff this from Travaskis. He's only got 3 balls left in his allocation. Very much enjoyed what he's sent down this evening. Nice bit of fielding by skipper Lees, and there's no run. Now towards the end of the over, again a significant change in the field with Lees coming towards that point position. 3 of them either just in front or behind square. Now Patel gets hold of it and drags it towards deep mid-wicket, and that will go for 4. Roar of the crowd, who've been unusually a little subdued of late. do like to come along and watch Alex Hales and Joe Clark blasting the ball over the boundaries, and they've quite taken to Colin Munro as well this season, and when they all went, it was almost as if, well, now what? But just getting behind Samit here, as they have done many times in the past. 138 for 4. This will be the end of Travaskis. 1 for 29 his figures now, and that will become 1 for 30 as Patel punches it into the offside. 139 for 4 after 15 overs. Not so going to need a good finish here if they're going to really give Durham something to think about when they begin their chase in around about 40 minutes time, or 3/4 of an hour time, something like that. More from Carl van Vollenhoven, and then to ease you through to the end of the Outlaws innings, more from Colin Frey.
Well, it looks really like Nathan Souter is going to continue here, and I think that Durham spinners have been fantastic this evening. They've made life quite difficult for the Notts Outlaws. It looks like timing is quite difficult for the batters when spin is in operation, and well, they've got 1 over of spin to go, and this being Nathan Souter, and he's been the pick of the bowlers. Colin, what do you think?
Yeah, Nathan Souter's been excellent so far. 3 for 18 from his 3 overs, and Durham could do with another good over from him. Here it starts with Samit Patel nudging the first ball away to square leg, past umpire Sue Redfern, and trotting through for a single. Patel on to 26 from 23 balls. Tom Moores has 6. And Souter already has the wickets of Hales, Munro and Montgomery in his pocket. Bowls, and this is crunched away over the man at a sort of wideish long on for 6 from Tom Moores. And Souter just getting one wrong for once, but he was absolutely hammered away by Moores. It only just went over Michael Jones, who was the closest fielder to it. I say only just, probably 3 or 4 feet over his outstretched arm, and away for a maximum. Here's Souter in again to Moores, who's pulling this away out onto the onside, but there is a man running around from the square leg boundary, who's Ashton Turner, who fields, and they get just a single this time. I beg his pardon, it's Wayne Parnell out on the square leg side of the ground, which is now point for Samit Patel, who's hit this looking as if he was looking for the offside, and he's ended up maybe inside edging it round to the leg side, and they just run through for a single.
Quite right there, Colin. Samit just looking to hit that through extra cover, inside edge through to mid-wicket. Old-fashioned Graham Smith cover drive.
148 for 4. This is given a lot of flight, and Tom Moores waits for it and plays it out towards long off. Good running, taken 2. That is Ashton Turner doing the fielding way down below us in the Ratcliffe Road stand, and a ripple of applause as Notts bring up the 150 in the 16th over. Souter in again, and this is crunched down the ground by Moores, but this time it's straight to Turner, who takes another catch, and Souter's got his 4th. Moores is gone for 15, and Notts are 150 for 5, and again Nathan Souter works the magic with the ball, and for the 3rd time the combination of Court Turner bowled Souter works for Durham, and Notts 150 for 5. Moores just starting to try and cut loose, and hits this straight down the throat of Ashton Turner.
Nathan Souter with the golden arm this evening, or more or less you could say the whole tournament, and he picks up his 4th of the evening, and quite rightly so. Beautiful 4 overs of bowling from him, and he has been all over Notts this evening, and he really did deserve that. Tom Moores has held out to Ashton Turner, who takes yet another catch of Souter's bowling. Notts 150 for 5 now after 16.
4 overs, no maiden. 4 for 29 then in the end for Nathan Souter, just looking a little bit more expensive because of that big blow from Tom Moores earlier in that final over from Souter, but another 4 wickets for Souter. Baz de Leyder is coming back into the attack now. Haven't seen him since the 4th over of the innings. Went for 11 runs. And Stephen Mullaney is the new batsman, although he's at the non-striker's end, and Samit Patel is going to face. He's on 27, Notts 150 for 5, 16 overs down. And this is just turned off his pads down to deep backward square by Samit Patel for 1 run. 151 for 5. Durham winning the toss, choosing to bowl, asking Notts to bat first. Durham off to a real flyer, getting Joe Clark's second ball of the innings for naught, but then Alex Hales and Colin Munro got Notts going. Next wicket didn't go until 83 were on the board in the 8th over. Since then Durham have done well to peg Notts back, although they're struggling with giving away too many extras, and here is another wide down the offside from Baz de Leyder this time.
They have bowled a lot of extras this evening, haven't they, Colin? There's a lot of extra balls, and they can come back to bite you in the end, can't they? So
it feels like more. 9 are on the board, but I think they've all been wides, or I think we've had 1 no ball, haven't we? And the rest have all been wides. There's been no buys or leg buys that I can remember. This is played down the ground by Mullaney up towards long off.
I think maybe one leg by and 1 no ball, and the rest have definitely all been wides, haven't they? So
4 of them in that 1 over from Brandon Glover.
Not ideal from a bowling department point of view for Durham.
Has been a Notts problem, as Dave Bracegirdle alluded to a little bit earlier, throughout the tournament so far. See how they go in that department later on. Here's de Leyder again, and he's bowled to Samit Patel, who's chopped onto his stumps. Patel is gone. It's another wicket for Durham. 153 for 6 outside the off stump. Patel had a big swish at it, gets an inside edge and drags it on. He's gone for 28, 153 for 6 in the 17th.
Samit Patel looking to move things along. Unfortunately, Baz de Leyder has cleaned him up here via a chop on. Well, not the prettiest of cricket shots, that must be said, and it's been his downfall as Shaheen Shah Afridi now walks to the crease. Hopefully he can have some heroics that he had the other night here.
Well, we've seen, I mean, he hasn't had too many innings, but we've seen that he can whack it when
he most definitely can.
When he starts to see the ball and he gets the opportunity. He hit 29 from 10 balls against Worcestershire. In the end it was in vain for Notts in that heavy defeat, but he also came in and hit a few at Durham earlier on in the campaign. Hasn't had many opportunities with the bat, but he's going to get one here with 3.5 overs to go, and he's going to face his first ball from Baz de Leyder from the pavilion end. Away at the far end, running in towards us. And bowls a short one, which is, the umpire James Middlebrook tells Sue Redfern, is over shoulder height, but not over head height. And he's called the 1 for the over.
I must admit, I don't think I'd be bowling many shorts to Shaheen Shah Afridi. You've still got to face him, Baz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He just feels as if he's getting going really with the ball. It's a lovely ball the other day. As this is down the leg side, it'll be another wide. It's one either side of the wicket in this over. It's another lengthy over for Durham. Terrific ball the other day from Shaheen Shah Afridi. Yorked out Joss Butler. World-class bowling against a top-class batsman as well. 5-4 for 6. Here's de Leyder once more, and this is at the stumps and chopped away up towards long on where Parnell fields. Shaheen Shah Afridi off the mark, and 2 new batsmen won't have long to get themselves going. It's been a good little flurry of wickets from Durham.
They've just lost wickets at the wrong time, haven't they, this evening? Have not. It's unfortunate. Baz de Leyder continues.
Mullaney waits for him, and this is a good length delivery which Mullaney plays at and misses outside the off stump. It goes through to the wicket keeper, and there's A dot ball after the last ball of the over. Delayed at 2 overs, 1 for 16, 155 for 6, with 3 overs to come. And I think when Notts were, 83 for 1 in the 8th over, they'd have felt like they were going to score a few more than they look like they're going to get now with 3 overs to come.
Most definitely. I think Notts will be a little bit disappointed, but they still have the opportunity to make that up. They're still going at just over 9 runs to the over, so they would like to continue that as the man with the incredibly bright boots comes onto bowl. And for those of you who were not listening earlier, that is Wayne Parnell.
Yep, half of them are luminous orange and the other half are luminous yellow, green, whatever, tennis ball colour, whatever
Most
you
definitely.
call that, whether you call that luminous green or luminous yellow, but the front half of each boot is bright orange as well. And Parnell to Shaheen Shah Afridi, who has a big swing at this out towards mid-wicket. They've run one quickly, but they're not going to get another one because Graham Clark swoops into field.
Really good fielding. Wanted to, don't think they were ever going to get it to the small boundary. Afridi, I think, fancies his chances to that small boundary. Would you say, Colin?
Yeah, and I'm surprised more people haven't. I mean, it may be down to good bowling from Durham that they've protected that side of the ground, but we still haven't seen one go into that stand yet.
I know. I thought that stand would have been peppered this evening.
Here is Mullaney facing full toss, but Mullaney doesn't do much with it and just sort of bumps it down the ground and fielded by Jones. And they've scampered through for a single.
I wonder if that's been a tactic. Now that I think about it, with the batting order of Notts, is that they have, besides their 2 openers, have always had a right-hand, left-hand combination. So maybe that's the thinking. One batter will always be able to target the short boundary.
That batter at the moment is Shaheen Shah Afridi. This is a good delivery from Parnell. It's up in the block hole. They've run through for a single. Shaheen was certainly thinking of a second, but Mullaney said no. As again Clark came in and did the fielding.
Parnell once again just showing his experience. Really good bowling. Yorker. Freddie can't do much with that, unfortunately, and just has to bunt it into the leg side for a single.
2.5 overs to come. 158 for 6 Notts. Here's Wayne Parnell again. Left arm round the wicket. This is lofted over extra cover for 4. As it runs away off the bat of Stephen Mullaney. It's a nice shot from the Notts captain. Gets Notts some much needed runs. I mean, we're talking as if it's a low total. It's not going to be a low total by any stretch of the imagination, but as I say, 83 for 1 in the 8th over. They'd have been eyeing up something massive here. It's not going to be that, but Parnell is in again to Mullaney, and this is fielded at backward point by Souter, and there's no run. Dot ball, 1 to come in the 18th.
I think there are a lot of people, not just us, Colin, that were inside Trent Bridge this evening thinking after that power play and after the start that they got, they could be on for something ginormous, something really big, as Parnell continues to Mullaney.
Parnell in, drops this one short, but it's a slower short ball and Mullaney misses out completely, and it ends up going just about right over the stumps and through to the wicket keeper. And Mullaney played all around it, didn't get anything on it, and it's a dot ball again. It's another intelligent piece of bowling from Wayne Parnell off the last ball, which is so often targeted by the batsman. And after 18 overs, it's 162 for 6.
Exactly right. Really good bowling, really intelligent bowling from Wayne Parnell, and well, certainly showing what he can bring to the party for Durham at the latter stages of the innings, which is a terrible time to bowl. It really isn't a very nice time to bowl, so really nice bowling as Baz de Leede is going to continue to Shaheen Shah Afridi.
And then Parnell, you would imagine, with 1 to come, he's going to bowl the 20th. This is the 19th. Afridi on 3. De Leede into him. Afridi going for the big hit over mid-wicket, and he's got it. Now, did it have the distance? Just waiting, I think. Yes, it is 6. I think Sue Redfern might have just been waiting for Ben Rain, I think it is, right out on the boundary, just to confirm whether or not it had crossed the rope or not. It was hit fairly flat from Shaheen Shah Afridi towards the Fox Road, and it's ended up probably only a foot or so over the rope and then bounced into the stand. But it is a maximum for Shaheen Shah Afridi, who's now hit this straighter down the ground, but that's going to bounce into the hands of the fielder up at long on in front of the pavilion, who I think might be Souter. Long way away from us.
Very long way.
But it is just a single. It's 169 for 6.
Freedy doing the old-fashioned, I'm going to clear my front leg and take you down.
Stephen Mullaney taking guard way outside off stump here, and then Deleda bowls even further outside off stump to Yorker length, and Mullaney misses out, goes through to the wicket keeper. And there's a dot ball.
Was
6-9 for 6.
Was indeed Souter down there then. Got great eyes.
Either that or guesswork, one of the two. Yeah, Dave's had a look with the binoculars and just confirmed, as this is outside off stump again and chopped away high in the sky by Mullaney, but safe for a 1 bounce 4. As it bisects the fielders behind square on the offside. And these are good runs for Notts in the 19th over. 6 for Afridi earlier on, 4 now for Mullaney. Both of them moving on to 10, 173 for 6.
Nice little cameo this is from Stephen Mullaney. He's done really well to dig that out and get that up and over backward point for 4.
Here's Deleda again, up in the block hole, good delivery. And Mullaney can only scuff it away back down the pitch. And Deleda's having a run back to his mark. Yeah, you can see why. Cut-off time is 1948. It's now 1947, and he's got 1 ball to come of this over. He needed to be getting on with it, and it's a full toss outside off stump, which is dragged round by Mullaney up towards mid-wicket. They're running through for 2, and there's a complete misfield at the far end, and that will enable them to get back for 3. That's good pressure running, really. I mean, it doesn't excuse the mistake, which I think was from Jones at the far end, but that's very good running from the pair of them. They end up with 3 off the last ball of the over. 176 for 6. Big over for Notts that. They take 14 from it. And there's 1 to come, which will be bowled by Wayne Parnell.
Well, that is very far from ideal. Durham being a little bit sloppy there at the end. That's inexcusable, really. Looks like just trying to rush through as Wayne Parnell continues.
And Parnell into Mullaney, who's lofted this over extra cover. 1 bounce 4, about 1 metre inside the rope. Another nice shot, played with a straight bat by Mullaney, just lofted it over the fielders inside the circle. Over extra cover, over Lees at extra cover, and when I say over, I mean way over. And then just dropped, from a Notts point of view, the wrong side of the rope for 4 rather than 6. 180 for 6. Good runs again. Parnell bowls, and Mullaney's done it again. Same sort of shot, less height this time, and so it's a bit flatter, so it bounces 2 or 3 times before it goes over the rope this time. And it's another 4 from Mullaney, and after 14 off the previous over, they've now taken 8 off the first 2 balls of the last over, and it's 184 for 6.
Looks like Notts are moving up towards that score that they were looking for at the very beginning.
Good timing from, well, it's Mullaney who's doing most of the big hitting. We thought it might be Afridi. Here's Parnell again, and he's done it again. This has gone very high out towards the Fox Road side of the ground, but it is taken on the rope. That went really high from Stephen Mullaney, and running round in front of the Fox Road stand on the cover boundary. The catch is taken by Clark, who had the misfield in the previous over, but he's atoned for it by taking a clean catch. Mullaney's little cameo is over. 21 he made in 13 balls. It's 184 for 7.
Well, nice little comeback from Wayne Parnell, but the damage being done with 2 lovely shots. Really, really nice, as Colin said, cameo there from Stephen Mullaney, and well, got Notts moving in the right direction. Calvin Harrison now, new batter to the crease, 184 for 7 with 3 balls remaining.
I think this is shaping up to be quite the match tonight. 3 balls to come. Notts looking as if they were going to score more than this, then looking as if they might score a few less than this, and probably not going to be far off where they looked as if they might be at the end earlier on in the innings. This is hoisted up in the air again. There are 3 fielders converging on this from Calvin Harrison, and none of them can get there. There's a despairing dive forward from, I think, Graham Clark. Maybe, no, it's not Graham Clark. It's Brandon Glover at the far end of the ground. To be fair to him, as they've gone through for just a single in the end of all of that, it was up in the air for ages, but there's a huge gap. And although the music is rather taking the mickey out of Glover, I'm not sure he could have made the ground. Here's Parnell into Shaheen Shah Afridi, who drives him back up the pitch, and the bowler gets a touch on it, which deflects it to Michael Jones, and it means they only get 1.
That's safe 4, Colin. I think that touch there is safe 4. It's going to hurt, unfortunately.
It was going at some pace, wasn't it? There wasn't even a flinch, was there, from Wayne Parnell? Shaheen Shah Afridi bangs his bat on his pads in frustration at the non-striker's end. Last ball is a slower ball bouncer. Shaheen runs through for a bye. There's a shy at the stumps from first wicket keeper, and then bowler who helps it on to try and run Harrison out at the end. He was in his ground. They take a bye off the last ball, which was well bowled by Wayne Parnell, who finishes with 1 for 36 from his 4 overs. And the innings ends on 187 for 7 with Afridi on 11 and Calvin Harrison on 1, which they ran while that ball was in the air for that attempted catch in the end from Brandon Glover in the final over. 187 for 7 is where Nottinghamshire have got to from their 20 overs, and that represents a bit of a comeback from Durham in the the second third of the innings, if you like, and then some good runs towards the end from the likes of Samit Patel, Tom Moores, Stephen Mullaney in particular, helping Notts up to a pretty respectable total in the end of 187 for 7. At the halfway stage they were 98 for 3, and in the 8th over, when they lost their second wicket, they were 83 for 1. I think at that point they'd have been very much looking at getting over 200. In the end they couldn't quite manage that, Kyle van Vollenhoven, but 187 for 7 looks competitive and sets us up for quite a second innings here, I think.
I could not agree more. I think Notts will be very happy, even though they would have liked to get a bit more. I think they'll be very happy with 187. I think spin is going to play a massive part in this chase, and not having 3 spinners in their attack will be a very, very nice, interesting battle to come, and we're in for some game of cricket here, I believe. I think Durham, very good batting team, top of the table at this very moment in time, so I think we're in for a treat.
Bowling figures: Travaskis 1 for 30 from his 4 overs, Wayne Parnell 1 for 36 from his 4 overs, Brandon Glover 0 for 38 from 3, Baz de Leyder 1 for 30 from 3, Ben Rain 0 for 22 from 2 overs, and the pick of them by some distance, Nathan Souter 4 for 29 off his 4 overs, and without him you wonder where Durham would have been, because he accounted for Alex Hales for 39, for Colin Munro for 49, those two really getting going for Notts, for Matt Montgomery for 12, and for Tom Moores for 15 as well. And Kyle, he bowled extremely well.
Bowled beautifully. He really did. He really did. I think he was unlucky to probably go for as many as he did in the end. I think that we had, just watching on the replays here, a couple of misfields that went for 4, and if you think about it, you take those misfields off, you have 3 for 21, and you're very happy. So I think that's why I say I think spin's going to play a massive part in this game to come, with Notts having their own leg spin of their own in Calvin Harrison.
We shall see what happens. Thanks to Kyle van Vollenhoven for the time being. You're listening to BBC Radio Nottingham, and also tonight welcome to listeners in the North East via the BBC Sport website who would normally listen to BBC Radio Newcastle. Halfway stage here then at Trent Bridge, 187 for 7 knots, so Durham will come out and chase 188 to win the game here at Trent Bridge, where the time is 5 to 8. see whether or not his next fight will be at the City Ground. But across the road from there, here at Trent Bridge, the Notts Outlaws fielders have taken to the field alongside Durham's opening bats. And they are Graham Clark and Alex Lees. And Shaheen Sharafridi, as we've become accustomed to seeing for Notts in the T20, is going to open the bowling, and it's going to be from the Radcliffe Road end. Durham, remember, need 188 to beat Notts. It is one of those innings where they can sort of pace themselves a little bit. They perhaps don't have to go out really hard, though they'll want to, of course, in the power play overs. Notts themselves, knowing that it's a chaseable total, will be looking to take some wickets in the power play and really peg Durham back early on if they can. And it's going to be Graham Clark to face the first ball from Shaheen Sharafridi, who's bowling out of the shade and into the sun here at Trent Bridge. Shaded part of the ground now because of the huge Radcliffe Road stand, which he's running away from. And bowls the first ball to Clark, which is cut away onto the offside for a single as Montgomery fields in front of the Fox Road stand. First ball, first run, and Lees on to strike.
Looked like there was a hint swing there for Shaheen Sharafridi, which will be very interesting, seeing he's now bowling to the left-hander, meaning he will be swinging it away.
Lees is waiting to face his first ball. Here's Afridi, left arm, and that did swing away. And it's well taken by Tom Moores, virtually in front of a slip. Because for these first couple of balls, they've got a slip in, who is Matt Carter away at the far end. And that had visible movement.
Most definitely. He'll be licking his lips, yeah. A little bit of swing, slip and play.
Yeah, I don't suppose we'll see that for many balls, but it's there at the moment. Here's Afridi once again, and this is lofted down the pitch and over Stephen Mullaney, safely over Stephen Mullaney for Durham's first boundary from Alex Lees. 4 to him. And 4 down the ground.
I agree. If he's going to carry on playing shots like that, I don't think we're going to be seeing slip for much longer. In fact, he's just left.
He's gone. He's out.
2 balls. Or 3.
Slip is gone to a point position. As in comes Afridi. That's a big swing and a miss, but it's a wide outside the off stump. And as Dave Bracegirdle, my fellow commentator, alluded to a little bit earlier in the first innings, while Durham were having some wide problems. That's not the first we've seen Shaheen Sharafridi bowl. His Notts career so far, tender as it is. And he comes again, left arm over. This is clipped high off his pads for 6 for Lees into the aforementioned Fox Road stand, which Notts failed to find in their entire innings, but this is just clipped away and was always going to be 6 because he timed it beautifully away off his pads for a maximum.
Deep square, no chance. That's sailed right over his head for 6 runs as Afridi continues.
Yeah, 6 or 7 rows back. Afridi 0 for 12 from his first 4 balls. Here is the 5th, and this is pulled up towards Mullaney, who fields well. It looked like he was going to beat Stephen Mullaney and go through for 4 again. Don't think Lee's got hold of it really at all. I think he clothed it a bit, but it looked like it might go wide of Mullaney. And Mullaney ran away to his left and made the stop on the circles. So just a single. 13 off this first over for Durham. And Graham Clark preparing to face the last ball of it, which is Yorker length, dug out of the block hole, and a dot ball for Shaheen Sharafridi off the last ball of that over. But that's an expensive one for him, an expensive one for Notts. First over ends with Durham on 13 without loss, needing 188 to win.
Just the start that Durham would be looking for, taking down Notts' premier bowler. and they've started off the innings in quite superb style. Least 11 off 4. Well, we now have Samit Patel. I did say that spin would be a very big factor in this game, and they're bringing it on early here. Samit Patel is going to bowl from the pavilion end.
It's changed to the bowling start that Notts made for their last game here, which was at the weekend against Lancashire. Samit Patel coming on for the second over. Previously it had been Matt Carter who was getting that second over. They were saving Patel for a little bit later in the innings, but here is Samit Patel, reverse sweep, catch, great catch, diving away to his right. That's a fantastic take.
It was Jake Ball.
Jake Ball. A reverse sweep from Lees, who's gone for 11, and Samit Patel gets a wicket with his first ball, but it is thanks to a superb diving catch away to his right, two-handed by Jake Ball. Jordan Pickford of his beloved Everton would have been pleased with that one. Great save, great catch, and a first wicket. 13 for 1. Lee's gone for 11.
That is a superb catch. Back into the team this evening. Well, tell you what, he's moving perfectly. That's a lovely, lovely catch at backward point. Lees has hit that so hard, and Jake Ball reaction catch there at backward points, and Durham lose their first wicket in, well, spectacular style as they swarmed Jake Ball, didn't they, Colin?
Yep. They realised what a good catch it was, and what an important catch it was as well, because Alex Lees had hardly hung around in that first over, so to get him before he could really get going is a very good scalp and a very good take from Jake Ball, and that'll very much get the crowd into it as well in the early stages of the Durham innings. 13 for 1. Michael Jones is the new batsman, and he's facing Samit Patel, and he's nudged it away out towards square leg and beyond, and in comes Munro to field from running from out of the sunny part of the ground into the shaded bit. As I say, much of this end of the ground now is shaded by the shadow from the Radcliffe Road stand, as this next one is driven down the pitch by Clark. There's a one hand on it from Patel, which takes a little bit of the pace out of it, and fielded by Montgomery, who comes in from the long off rope. 15 for 1. Good first half of his first over from Samit Patel, and this gets a little outside edge and goes down to third man, where Carter hurls the ball back into Tom Moores. One of those strangled cries, not quite an appeal, but oh, that was close.
Got a slip back in here, Colin.
Yeah, Stephen Mullaney in. As Jones faces this next one from Patel, nudges it wide of the bowler, up towards long off again. Montgomery into field once more.
Stephen Mullaney nice and enthusiastic there behind the wicket. You can hear him just going, making some really nice noises, as here goes Patel again.
Patel in, and this is well pitched up and nudged out towards mid-on off the last ball of the over. And that's a very good over from Samit Patel. At any time it's a very good over, because 4 runs came off it and a wicket, and when you consider that it's in the power play overs as well, that's a very good start from the experienced Nottinghamshire man.
Well, we now have spin from both ends. How long that will stay like that, I'm not sure, as Matt Carter now comes into the attack.
Well, he called it at half time, saying that spin would be very important. And straight away Samit Patel gets a wicket, as we're joined by listeners to BBC 5 Live Sports Extra, as Matt Carter comes in to bowl, and there's a big heave at this, away over the onside from Graham Clark, but he completely missed it. It goes through to Tom Moores, and it's a dot ball. 17 for 1 Durham. They need 188 to win. He's down the pitch again now, Clark, and he's lofted this straight down the throat of Calvin Harrison at mid-wicket. It's a second wicket for Notts inside the first 3 overs, and Durham is 17 for 2. Clark is gone for 3 following Alex Lees, who made 11. And it's the perfect start for Notts, and the twin spin of Samit Patel and Matt Carter is doing the trick.
Really nicely bowled. Clark looking to advance down the track and take Matt Carter on. Hasn't got any of that, and the most simple of catches out to Calvin Harris in a deep mid-wicket. And Durham now lose their second, and after the first over where they were in a really nice position, find themselves in quite a challenging one at 17 for 2 after 2.2.
Notts made 187 for 7 from their 20 overs. Colin Munro with 49 from 27 balls. Alex Hales 39. Nathan Sow to the pick of the Durham bowlers, 4 for 29 from his 4 overs. He accounted for both of those, Alex Hales and Colin Munro, at crucial times for Durham. Ollie Robinson is the new batsman, and this is paddled round towards fine leg, shy at the stumps from Samit Patel. Notts are asking the question, but Jones was in his ground according to umpire Sue Redfern, who runs across to, well, gets halfway to the stumps before Tom Moore says no, it's alright, I'll just stick these bails back on.
It's the last thing that they needed there, wasn't it? A bit of a run out, quick single to get off the mark from Robinson. Run out Jones. Oof.
That would have been calamitous for Durham. Now 18 for 2 as it is. As in comes Carter again, but that's down the leg side, and it is a wide. Second in the Notts innings, or in the Durham innings, with Notts with the ball already. As here's Carter again, round the wicket. Slow bowler, which is just nudged back down the pitch by Jones. Ripple of applause for the dot ball. Tells you the crowd are very much in it here at Trent Bridge after those 2 early wickets. This is nudged up towards mid-on and hurled in by Shaheen Sharafridi to the wicket-keeper Tom Moores, but batsman safely home this time. Robinson has 1, Jones has 3, Durham 20 for 2. Ins Carter again, and on the back foot, Robinson just playing this out onto the onside towards Colin Munro, who makes the stop, and it's a dot ball off the last ball of the over. 3 overs are gone, and Durham are 20 for 2, needing 188 to win.
Well, it is going to be very, very, very interesting to see how Durham are going to play the spin here. It looks like it's still going to be spin to continue, being Samit Patel, and Durham can't afford to let the run rate climb too high here. Samit Patel will continue.
He's bowling from the pavilion end, and he's bowling to Jones, who's on the back foot, playing this straight out to extra cover. Calvin Harrison fields, throws it very quickly back into the bowler, Samit Patel. It's a dot ball, Notts getting through the power play overs quickly. Patel is in again, and this is down on one knee at Jones, but misses out in terms of getting any big score. They've gone through for, well, a single. I wondered whether or not it'd be a leg by, but nothing signalled, so must have got a little bit of bat on it as he tried to sweep it away, and he ended up going about 10 yards or so from the strip. And it's 21 for 2. Samit Patel again into, gets an edge from Robinson. Carter fields at third man up inside the circle, and again they go through for a single. Very good start from Notts with the ball. 22 for 2. Patel in once more, round the wicket to Jones, who's pulled him away out towards mid-wicket, but out at deep mid-wicket is Colin Munro, and again it's just a single. Power play overs disappearing fast from a Durham perspective as Robinson faces Patel, but he's got this away through the offside. That's beaten the man, beaten the 2 men at cover and extra cover inside the circle and away and through for 4 runs.
Really nice cricket shot. Hasn't tried to hit that too hard, just nicely timed through the offside, beats the what is a very, very packed offside field and races across the square and into the boundary rope for 4.
27 for 2. Samit Patel once more, and again it's cut away. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. It's going to get 4 for Durham. Joe Clark was diving to stop it and probably would have done. We will never know, because as it was chopped away through the offside, it's hit a divot on an old pitch from a bowler's mark, and it's bounced straight over the top of the diving Clark and gone away for 4. One of the old footholes, it might even be a stump hole, whatever it was, it hit, it looped over Clark and away for 4. Unfortunate end to the over from Samit Patel, but Notts getting on with it really quickly here. Matt Carter's got the ball in his hand and he's bowling the first ball of the 5th over already, which is nudged off his hips by Jones down to deep backward square where Montgomery fields, and it's a single. You can hardly get your breath here, Notts are getting through this at such a pace. 32 for 2, and this is an attempted sweep by Robinson, which just bobbles up off a top edge. In fact, didn't even get an edge off the bat, bobbled up off a pad and over the wicket keeper, and they go through for a single. Leg by, I should say, as Carter's round the wicket again, and again Jones pulling him away to deep backward square. Montgomery fields single.
It's incredibly fast-paced stuff, this, Colin.
4.5 overs have gone already. You feel like we've barely been playing 5 minutes of this innings. Here's Carter again onto the back foot, pulled away. Calvin Harrison fields and hurls it in to Tom Moores, and they're happy with a single again. Robinson on 11, Jones is on 7. Just continuing the rebuild job really for Durham after losing a couple of quick wickets, and this is a towering shot which goes over mid-off. Shaheen Sharafridi is mid-on rather. Shaheen Sharafridi up inside the circle and away it goes for 4. It's a big hit, and one of those that the batsman never even moved after. Jones with a lusty blow over Shaheen Sharafridi, and 4. He moves on to 11. Carter is in again, just drops this one short, but it's down the leg side, it's a wide, and they take a run off it. And again, the Notts bowler just straying off his line. And much needed runs for Durham. 41 for 2. Here at Trent Bridge, chasing 188 to win. So 147 more needed. Just under 10 and over, as Carter sees this next one crunched away through the covers. Nice shot from Robinson for another 4. Expensive over as far as Notts are concerned, the most expensive over of the innings so far, as Robinson begins to find his rhythm for Durham, and at the end of 5 overs Durham are 45 for 2. In comparison, Notts were 49 for 1. 1 over to come in the power play overs. They need 143 more to win, and commentary continues with Dave Bracegirdle after a word from Kyle van Vollenhoven.
Well, Durham will be very, very happy with the way that those last 2 overs have gone. Nice little spell of play that for Durham, as they've taken 2 nice bits of runs from those 2 overs there, as Jake Ball is now introduced into the attack.
From the pavilion end, here comes Jake Ball, restored to the starting lineup this evening after illness wiped him out on Saturday. Samit Patel got a wicket first ball. Can Jake Ball emulate him? And he has got a wicket, and that's a super catch. Matthew Montgomery running backwards out of the circle at mid-off, takes the catch, and it's Michael Jones who has to go. And what a return to the starting lineup for Jake Ball. Wicket first ball, Michael Jones out. Tried to take ball downtown and only succeeded in hitting it high into the air. Well judged catch from Montgomery. And Durham are 45 for 3.
That is a superb catch. Not taking anything away from the ball that Jake Ball has bowled, but Monty having to do a lot of backpedaling there, running backwards, dives backwards and takes a superb catch. And well, Jake Ball's had a great evening so far. He's taken a screamer of a catch, wicket with his first ball, and Durham, after all of that, are 45 for 3.
Yeah, this was about the same stage in the Outlaws innings where Hales and Munro just put their foot to the floor, really starting to accelerate. Durham are going the other way, 45 for 3. They've lost Graham Clark for 3. Both Alex Lees and now Michael Jones made 11. The new man is the Dutch international, Bas de Leede, right-hander. Jake Ball just asking Matt Carter to go a little finer at short third inside the ring. Ball bowls to de Leede. Gentle little push out on the onside, and Ball in his follow through does the fielding. Durham require a further 143 from 88 deliveries. This the second match between these two this season. Notts won at Chesterley Street about 10 days ago by 5 wickets, getting home with 4 balls to spare. Roles reversed this evening. Notts batted first. And here comes Jake Ball, past umpire Sue Redfern. This is punched away through point. Calvin Harrison will do the fielding. And there's a single, 46 for 3. Sue Redfern officiating. She stood in a Royal London one-day cup match for Notts last year. And this is only her second blast game. She did Gloucestershire versus Middlesex at the weekend. And very pleased to see her here at Trent Bridge. Her home county, by the way. She was actually born in Nottinghamshire. There's Ball, now into Ollie Robinson, who chops it again out to point, and again it will be Harrison with the fielding, bouncing the ball into the gloves of Tom Moores.
Really nice start this from Jake Ball. 1 for 2 off 4 balls, so exactly what Notts required after 2 really big overs.
Yeah, this is the 6th over as well, the last one of the power play. Traditionally it's the over where the batting side really do look to get on with it. 2 balls left, de Leede on strike. He's only got a single. He's lifted this one away on the leg side, might well run away to mid-wicket for 4. It did indeed. That just seemed as if it was a bit of a false shot as Alex Hales scampers after it and pulls up by the metal fence in front of the Larwood and Vaux stand. The ball had just bobbled underneath it and had gone away for 4, but certainly didn't seem as if that had come out of the screws.
Not at all, not at all. It looked like he's got absolutely none of that, and that's just trickled away to the boundary.
50 up for the visitors, 51 for 3. And it's Ball to conclude his first over. In now bowls, and little push and run from de Leede. Seemed as if he'd done all the counting and was more than happy to take strike. A gentle push and run. 52 for 3 at the end of the power play. Notts at the same stage was 65 for 1 with Hales and Munro together. Colin Munro made 49, Alex Hales made 39, but again Nathan Souter showed what a really good bit of business Durham have done, bringing him up from Middlesex. Played last year on loan. Durham like what they saw, and they've taken steps to recruit him for this competition this year, and he's already taken 17 wickets in this year's competition. It's going to be pace off once more, and this time it's going to be the skipper, Stephen Mullaney.
Once again, Stephen Mullaney looking to do that job that he's done for years here at Trent Bridge.
Mullaney from the Radcliffe Road end to be bowling to Bas de Leede. Bowls a flighted delivery, which is just punched to Jake Ball, who makes a tumbling stop well up inside the ring on the offside, and a precious dot ball. Stephen Mullaney has taken 7 wickets so far in this year's competition. Comes in, bowls once more, driven away through the offside and away for 4. That's really good from de Leede. Ball crashes into the wall at the base of the Fox Road stand. That went quickly from the back, straight over the ropes and away for 4. Nice looking shot.
It's a lovely cricket shot, beautiful cricket shot. Nothing better than a nice cover drive, is there, Dave?
There isn't. De Leede not had too many opportunities this year. 13 not out in the reverse fixture up at Chesterley Street against Notts. Remains his highest score of the campaign. The next one is dropped on the leg side. For all his experience, played for the Netherlands for a number of years. This is his first time with a first-class county, so his first experience of the blast. Bit of a punt from Durham, but he's slotted into that middle order all-rounders role. Good team man. 57 for 3. Brings Ollie Robinson back onto strike. Robinson has 16. Mulaney bowls to the former Kent wicketkeeper batter, who again drives down the ground to Alex Hales, and there's one more to the total. 58 for 3.
Moving along quite nicely here. Durham ticking over. Got to keep doing that, chasing good scores. Mulaney continues.
Lovely evening, floodlights on, as you normally get second half of these matches. Next one's worked on to the leg side, out to Calvin Harrison, just ticking over nicely in this over. Durham 7 from the first 5 balls, takes them to 59 for 3. Robinson and delayed it at the crease. Ashton Turner still to come, very experienced Australian international. Wayne Parnell can give it a wallop. There's Mulaney bowls, again worked into the offside. 60 for 3, and that was an over of just gradual gathering of runs. There was the boundary and 4 more singles, and that's all you really need to do at this stage of the innings. Durham have lost early wickets. They're now trying to just rebuild, get themselves into some sort of a position where they can challenge that and not score in the latter part of the innings.
Most definitely. Durham will most definitely be looking to rebuild after losing 3 early wickets here. Jake Ball to continue, hoping to make further inroads into this Durham middle order. The DJ still continuing to try and get the Trent Bridge crowd going.
I don't think he's cranked his tunes up to maximum volume yet, but as we've seen in the previous home games here, as the evening draws towards its inevitable conclusion, the tunes tend to get a little more familiar and a little louder as Ball comes in to bowl. Nice looking shot by Ollie Robinson down the ground, fielded by Matthew Montgomery, who before the game was presented with the Player of the Month award. And it wasn't just the Notts Player of the Month award, it was the nationwide, the PCA Player of the Month award. That tells you what sort of contribution he's made during May. Terrific 177 here in the last county championship game as Ball bowls to delayed it. Again, just content to run it out onto the offside where Joe Clark does the fielding. Miserable all night for Joe Clark. He was bowled second ball of the match for naught by Liam Travaskis.
You're not forgetting also nearly needed a new set of teeth after diving and nearly getting his head taken off on the square there.
Yeah, it's quite a nasty one, wasn't it? 62 for 3. Robinson back on strike on 19. Jake Ball bowls to him, and again just a pleasing push into the gap on the offside. Calvin Harrison will do the fielding, and there's one more taken. 64 for 3. Of course, Notts can pretty much take pace off the ball every single over if they want. They won't with Jake Ball and Shaheen Shah Afridi, but they've got lots of spin options. Matt Carter, Samit Patel, we've seen. Stephen Mulaney takes pace off. There's also Calvin Harrison, the leg spinner, and a bit of Matthew Montgomery as well if required, as the next one from Ball goes past the outside edge and through into the gloves of Moores.
They really are just looking to push it around for singles at the minute, and that can be dangerous. Just looking to fend it away, can lose a bit more quick wickets, and then you are in a bit of trouble because the scoreboard hasn't moved as far as you would have liked it to as Ball continues.
63 for 3. We're in the 8th over. Gonna push into the offside. They've run the first one quickly, but Harrison, I'm sure, will keep them down to 1. Well, his throw is so good it comes in and hits the stumps, which isn't always a good thing. That could have ricocheted away and perhaps given an overthrow, but he's only come into the game or into the starting 11 3 matches ago, but a significant upturn in the Notts fielding with him in the side. Terrific fielder he really is. 64 for 3. Been watching Notts for donkey's years, and it's a little unusual to see them with the red caps on, part of a renewed sponsorship deal. So they're in the gold and green, but with red caps, as ball bowls again, hit away onto the leg side and away for 4. Well, I said 4, they're just checking on that one. In fact, it's gone all the way. That really was a very good shot indeed from Ollie Robinson. He's cleared the ropes just by a matter of inches. Shane Sharafridi's out there, and I don't think he was all that convinced, but anyway, it is 6 runs. 70 for 3 is the score after 8. Good shot from Robinson, who's on 26, Delader on 14.
Very nice shot. Well, ball has tried to bang that one in, and Robinson up to the task, has pulled that away for 6. It's a lovely shot, and we are getting our first look at Calvin Harrison for the evening, David. And I know you, when I was last on, calling for him to play, and he has done really nicely since he's come on, hasn't he?
Well, we like a leggy. We always like to see a leggy, and of course we've seen a successful leggy tonight. Nathan Souter has just shown what a useful attribute it can be to have a leg spinner in your side. Souter with 4 wickets earlier on. Calvin Harrison, who made his Nottinghamshire first class debut against Essex in the last round of county championship matches, comes in here from the Radcliffe Road end. First one is just dragged down a little bit and out on the leg side. Joe Clark's got to do some fielding, and they'll come back for 2. Notts at this stage were 83 for 2. They just lost the wicket of Alex Hales. So Durham round about at 11 runs behind and 1 wicket worse off. Next one pushed into the offside. There's no run there. In fact, Stephen Mullaney doing the fielding. Told you, they all look so different with red caps on, don't they?
I know, you can't tell anymore.
Umpire at this end is James Middlebrook. Harrison bowls, driven down the ground past him. Should be the strong arm of Afridi to fire the ball in. They come back for 2. My word, he's got a javelin of a throw on him, Shaheen Shah Afridi. Can't stop them coming back for 2. Samit Patel looks to be loosening up. Maybe he's going to get the next over. This is the 9th. Durham require 114 more after Notts posted 187 for 7. Harrison bowls. This is cut away for runs. It'll be 4 of them. Lovely looking shot from Baz Delader. And this partnership gathering legs. 33 from 21. 78 for 3.
Calvin just missing his length, dropping a little bit on the short side and offering a little bit of width, and Baz Delader just helping out on his way. Pass backward point for 4 runs.
Reminder, 6 teams in the North Group starting this evening, all on 8 points. Next one is worked onto the leg side, and there'll be a single as Clark does the fielding. Durham sat top of the pile. Notts was 6th. They played a game more and had the worst run rate, but believe it or not, if Notts win this evening, they will break that deadlock and go to the top of the table. Obviously Durham, if they win, they will stay top. Next ball off the pads, and Samit Patel up inside the circle at short fine leg does the fielding. End of the over. 80 for 3 after 9. They're keeping it nice and simple. 10 from each of the last couple of overs. 80 for 3 after 9, so Durham require 108 more.
It's going to be a very nice, interesting 11 overs here. They're ticking things along. They look like they haven't really played a shot in anger. They've just been pushing it around here and then, capitalising on a bad ball. Notts will be wanting to break this partnership.
A member of the ground staff just rushed on with a replacement bail. I don't know if one had been irreparably damaged at this end or not, but there we are, it's been replaced. We always get what should be the Duckworth Lewis score on the board here as Patel starts a new over. He's bowled him! Robinson tries to pull this ball from Samit Patel away on the leg side, misses it, and he's cleaned up. And Patel, who got a wicket with his first ball of the evening, now comes back and gets a wicket with the first ball of his third, and it's 80 for 4, and that might be a big fish he's caught there in his net. Robinson bowled Patel for 27.
Well, Patel fires this one down. Robertson trying to put it away, rushed on, and the new bail that had been brought on by the ground staff has been removed straight away, and Durham lose their 4th. Patel picks up his 2nd, and Durham are 80 for 4.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. At that precise point, Durham to keep up with the Duckworth-Lewis should have been on 81. They were on 80. So absolutely nothing in it. But of course, as we know, when a wicket goes down, those Duckworth-Lewis calculations just suddenly catapult. Here comes Ashton Turner, plays his cricket back in his native Australia for the Perth Scorchers. Skippered Durham here last year, come back for a second tilt, made 33 in last year's contest, the only time he's previously played at Trent Bridge. Finds himself coming in at number 6 in the order. 6 ODIs and a whole host of T20 internationals for Australia. Played a lot of T20 cricket around the world. Got a bit of work to do here. Ashton Turner, 80 for 4. Samit Patel with his second wicket. Bowls now and Turner drives into the offside. Thought he'd got runs, hadn't. Great stop from Joe Clark.
Well, he'll be wanting to make a contribution in the field. He certainly has so far. That's brilliantly stopped.
There's Patel running between umpire Redfern and the stumps. Bowls. Turner has gone big. Hale's down there. Catch it, Alex Hales is the cry. Alex Hales does catch it. And Patel's got 2 in the over and runs away towards the Fox Road side of the ground and is chased down by his teammates who grab hold of him. They celebrate together, and that was short and not so sweet from Ashton Turner. Jake Ball with the catch, and Patel's got 2 in the over.
I know they don't talk about having a sighter anymore, but goodness me, Ashton Turner, have a little bit of a look. That's a great catch from Jake Ball on the boundary. Had to be aware of the boundary rope. Samit Patel picks up his second. Well, I'll tell you what, you never ever get tired of seeing that sprint that he does when he takes a wicket, do you, Dave?
You don't? No, he was absolutely going to celebrate that one. They did me there because Alex Hales has been down on the long on fence, but they've swapped over just prior to this over, obviously, and Jake Ball judged it nicely. He had to do just a little bit of ballet dancing, didn't he? Just a tiptoe inside the rope to prevent toppling over, but it was all nice and clean. We've just seen on the monitor there that he was nowhere near the rope in the end. If you say 6 inches is nowhere near, it was all nice and clean. 80 for 5, and what a damaging over for Durham's prospects this has been.
Most definitely. Wayne Parnell walks to the crease again, identified him by his shoes, not the name on the number on the back, by his shoes.
Bright orange footwear, left-hander. Patel bowls to him and he's away first ball. 81 for 5. That Duckworth-Lewis has skyrocketed. Durham should be on 99 now. They're on 81 for 5, but they still need more than 100. Got a miserable record at Trent Bridge in recent years. Notts have won each of the last 3 years here, and they've done the double over Durham each of the last 3 years. 7 wins in a row. Deleda drives down the ground. I can confidently say this is Jake Ball fielding at long on, and it's 82 for 5.
It's been a fantastic spell so far from Samit Patel.
Here he comes to conclude his 3rd over. Oh my word, that's been spoiled a little bit. Wow, says Kyle. Wow, I agree. Parnell hits Patel into the members. A big 6, 88 for 5, and Durham aren't finished yet at the halfway stage of their innings. They're only 10 behind where Notts were. If they can find a little bit of a partnership here, potentially involving Wayne Parnell and Baz Deleda, maybe they're not done yet. Let's see how they go. More from Carl van Vollenhoven, and then to pick up commentary, it'll be Colin Frey.
Matt Carter is going to bowl from the Radcliffe Road end. I wonder if that was the over, although Wayne Parnell's big blow at the end of it might suggest otherwise, but I wonder if that was the over that just tilted things in Notts Outlaws' favour. Deleda nudges this one off his hips down to deep backward square leg. Montgomery comes in and fields, and they just get a single.
Just maybe, Colin, I think, in answer to your earlier question, I think that could have just pushed them over. This will be a big wicket, though. I think Parnell's experienced player, that they would like to see the back of him, though.
Well, he set out his intentions, didn't he? That was the second ball he'd faced when he crunched Samit Patel into the pavilion for a 6.
Most definitely.
Let's see what he's going to do with his 3rd here. He's facing Matt Carter, and he's playing it out square on the offside. Harrison runs around to field. Good throw in over the stumps to Tom Moore. So just a single for Parnell. Deleda is on 28 from 18 balls. The sun has disappeared. Actually got one or two clouds above Trent Bridge. I've seen that very often in this T20 series so far, as this is nudged up by Deleda to Shaheen Shah Afridi for another single.
What are those, Colin? What are those clouds?
It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, they're very high, and there's only one or two. Don't have to worry about the weather here. It's going to be absolutely fine, but it's just unusual to see it's not cloudless. Dot ball here for Carter as Parnell plays him to Stephen Mullaney at extra cover. And this next one, the same thing happens. Well pitched up by Matt Carter. Parnell can only find Mullaney again. He's giving himself a few more yards now. Mullaney goes back to the circle and extra cover, and that is a brilliant piece of captaincy, because that is exactly where Wayne Parnell chips the ball up to, and Mullaney takes the catch straight to him in exactly the right place, and Matt Carter gets a wicket. He gets in on the act. It's his second of the night. And between him and Samit Patel, the spinners have accounted for 5 of Durham's 6 wickets. Parnell goes for 8, big wicket, 91 for 6.
Good captaincy, good bowling, and a great result for the Outlaws. As Durham lose their 6th, they're in all sorts of trouble here at 91 for 6. Well, they have been brilliant. Patel, Carter, take a bow. They have been fantastic so far this evening. We are not going to see them, though, continue to the new batsman, as it's going to be Shaheen Shah Afridi to bowl from the pavilion end now.
Yeah, that's interesting. We don't normally see him at this stage of the innings, but he only had 1 at the front of the innings tonight. Normally he gets 2, and then they save the 2 for 2 of the last 4 overs. But he's coming back on at least for 1 at this stage. He was expensive in that first over as well, went for 13. Comes back now with a score at 91 for 6 to bowl the 12th over from the pavilion end, and there's an attempted scoop shot from Deleda. He gets something on it, which then hits his back, I think, after his bat, and then Tom Moores, the wicket-keeper, goes running after it because it was diverted at least away from him, if not from anywhere else. And he goes chasing after it. There's some indecision about whether or not that got any bat on it at all, or whether it just hit Deleda. I think he's got a single, but I thought I saw for a second a leg by signalled.
I also did. I also saw that as Freedy continues.
It's 92 for 6 in any case, and this is a little edge down to Samit Patel. Short third inside the circle, all along the ground, but not sure Travaskis meant it to go there, and they've gone through for a single. 93 for 6. Deleda on 26, and Knotts in the box seat to go top of the North group from this stage. Durham leading 95 from the remaining 52 balls, and only 4 wickets in hand, and this is played up towards mid-off by Deleda, a little bit uppishly but safely, and Mullaney fields, and they go through for another 1. 3 balls, 3 runs off the over so far. Partnership is 3 off the 3 balls, and it's 94 for 6. Here's Shaheen Shah Afridi running in towards us and towards Liam Travaskis, who pulls him away to deep mid-wicket, where Matt Montgomery runs into field, and again there's just a single and an inspection of the bat for Travaskis as he gets to the non-striker's end. Seems satisfied that it's still in one piece.
It's become an accustomed thing to go. Don't hit it quite clearly. It's the bat.
Just have a look at the bat. Yeah.
It's not great. A new one, please.
Shaheen Shah Afridi in past umpire Redfern. Bowls outside the off stump. And there's a misfield. That's a rarity from Matt Montgomery, and it enables Delader to go through for 2.
He's human, Colin. He's human.
Took a really good catch earlier in the innings, Montgomery. It's, just on the circles here at extra cover, and just couldn't quite take it cleanly. Bounced off him. It was a very good catch, running backwards, and then in the end diving backwards as well to dismiss Graham. I beg his pardon, Michael Jones it was. This is outside the off stump, and a swish outside, a little bit of fishing outside the off stump by Delader. Goes through to the wicket keeper. That's a dot ball for the end of the over, and after 12 overs it's 97 for 6.
Once again, a nice tidy over that from Shaheen Shah Afridi. Only the 6th from it, so not so really in control of this game. Durham needing 91 of 48 balls. It's looking an incredibly difficult task from here on out.
Run rate over 11 and over. And Matt Carter is going to bowl his 4th and final over from the Radcliffe Road end. 2 for 19 from the previous 3 overs. 8 dot balls as well, so very good so far for Carter. But this is a full toss, which is pulled away, but straight on the first bounce to Jake Ball. Backward square leg.
He's got away with that one.
Short ball, wasn't it, from Carter? Travaskis probably feel he's missed out a little bit to only get 1. Delader on 29, and is pulling this one away, and he's got more than that as he plays it through mid-wicket for a 2 bounce 4. Away it runs towards the hover cover off the field in front of the William Clark stand, away to our right hand side. A retrieving job is all that Calvin Harrison can do, as Delader gets 4 more, and he's on to 33 from 24 balls. He's certainly not given things up from a Durham perspective just yet. Carter in again to Delader, who's on the back foot to nudge this one out onto the offside, and fielded by Notts skipper Stephen Mullaney. 103 for 6, Durham. As Carter is in once again, there's a big appeal from Tom Moores and Carter as Travaskis is hit on the boot or the pad as he's coming forward, but James Middlebrook shakes his head, says not out. It is a dot ball though, and this next one is up in the block hole, and again Travaskis having trouble with it. Just plays it back down the pitch, and there's no run. So another dot ball for Carter, who's in again, and this is played straight back to the bowler by Travaskis, and another dot ball for Matt Carter, which means he finishes with 2 for 25 from his 4 overs, and at the end of 13 Durham are 103 for 6.
Really lovely spell of bowling from Matt Carter. He's been fantastic this evening, once again showing how important a good 4 overs of spin can be. Nathan Souter showed it earlier, Matt Carter showing it in the Notts bowling innings. Samit Patel now to hopefully, for the Notts Outlaws point of view, continue where Carter's left off.
Yeah, he's 3 for 23 so far, Samit Patel, from his 3 overs. Earlier Nathan Souter 4 for 29 for Durham from his 4. Taking some crucial wickets as well, as did Samit Patel in his last over. This is played out on the offside to Calvin Harrison. It's on the cover boundary, and they just get 1. Harrison's arm, good nick again.
He's had some good yards out there tonight, hasn't he, Calvin? Big spaces to cover.
2 wickets in Samit Patel's last over. And this is up in the block hole to Travaskis. Digs in out and down the pitch, and they were just thinking about a second, but decided against as they saw Montgomery racing into field. Coming in from long off. And Deleda back on strike on 35 now. Round the wicket comes Samit Patel, but that's very wide. Outside the off stump, and the wide is called. And he'll have to bowl that one again. Run rate up to over 12 and over now for Durham. This is chopped away onto the offside again to Calvin Harrison by Deleda. And again it'll just be one as the throw goes into the wicket keeper. Sun has just about dipped down low enough now to mean the whole of the ground is in shade, with the one exception of the Hound Road stand away on the far side from us, as this was played up towards long on by Travaskis, and they'll just get a single as Montgomery runs into field again. 108 for 6, 80 needed from 38 balls. Samit Patel into Baz Deleda, again it's wide.
And again he's going to have to bowl that one again. Lots and lots of extras in this game, Colin.
Yeah, both sides finding it difficult. This will be at least an 8 ball over from Samit Patel. That's a good ball though. It goes through to Tom Moores standing up behind the stumps. Deleda with a swing and a miss at that one. 109 for 6. And this the final ball maybe of Samit Patel's spell. It is outside the off stump again. It's nudged down to backward point for a single as Joe Clark does the fielding. 4 overs, 3 for 30 from Samit Patel, and it's 110 for 6 with 6 overs to go for Durham.
Once again, really nice spell from Samit Patel. With the exception of a few wides in his last over, has pretty much landed it exactly where he would have wanted to this evening, and can be very happy. He's done a good job for captain Stephen Mullaney, who is the next bowler from the Radcliffe Road end.
Yep, Mullaney, who's bowled just the 1 over so far. Cost him 8 runs. And Knott's going along very well here at Trent Bridge. The winners tonight will be top of the Northern Group at the end of the night. Of course, Durham has started the night in pole position, having gone there last night, having not played. So tight is the North Group. The top 6 all on 8 points, including these 2 sides. Here's Mullaney, and this is a huge hit towards us. Down the pitch came Deleda and hammers it into the Radcliffe Road stand over long on in the end for 6. It looked as if it was sailing through our window for a second, but it actually was a bit higher than that and then steepled downwards, but still cleared the ropes by a long way. Big hit. And James Middlebrook, the umpire, will have a little inspection of the ball, make sure it's okay. Deleda on to 43. Durham will want more of those. Here's Mullaney, and this is well bowled. A crowd catch as Mullaney takes the catch. That's the reason for the cheer, as Deleda plays it into the ground and Mullaney then gets hold of it. 116 for 6. 72 more needed for Durham. Here's Mullaney again. This is hit hard, but down the ground and straight to Alex Hales all along the ground. But, long off, so just 1 this time for Deleda. He's certainly not given things up, Baz Deleda.
Nice little innings from Deleda here. 44 off 32. He'll have to get a lot more though if Durham are going to get over the line, but looks the man to do it.
Travaskis with 5 and now on strike 2. Mullaney's hit this high, but it's gone up in the air. Has it got the distance? Shaheen Sharafridi can't see it. He completely lost that, and it was only about a yard or 2 away from him in the end by the time it came down. He has no idea where that ball was. You could see all the time it was in the air, and then after he's seen it fall very close to his feet in the end, he's gestured to all and sundry, just couldn't see it, couldn't pick it up at all. And they've decided to change things. They've decided to bring a different fielder, Joe Clark, into that position in the hope that maybe he'll be able to pick it a little bit better from out of the sky. This is played to Shaheen Sharafridi again in the position just vacated by Joe Clark. That was That was very strange, wasn't it? Because I mean, you don't very often see a ball drop that close to a fielder, and he's got no idea where it was.
That was bizarre.
It was a catch there for the taking. The next one is driven back down the pitch hard by Deleda to Mullaney. Mullaney stops it. It's a dot ball, and it's 120 for 6 at the end of another eventful over, with 15 overs in. So 5 more overs to come for Durham. They need 68 more runs off those 30 balls with 4 wickets in hand. Not very much in the ascendancy just at the moment, with 5 overs to come. A word from Kyle van Vollenhoven, and then commentary will continue with Dave Bracegirdle.
Another nice big 5 overs to come here. As Calvin Harrison is going to continue now, will come into the attack, pardon me, from the Radcliffe Road end. And it's going to be a very interesting passage of play to see how Durham are going to play this. Well, there's only one way they can play this, and that is going after everything.
Well, that was quite extraordinary. I can only imagine that Afridi looked up and straight away looked into the floodlights, which are on, they're burning brightly, but he was nearly hit on the head by the dropping ball. Quite extraordinary. Travaskis getting away with that. Here's Harrison bowls, and the self-same Travaskis goes down on one knee, drags this out on the leg side, fielded by Joe Clark. 121 for 6. So we're inside the final 5 overs, and Durham with a bit of work to do. They required 68 from the last 5, a single from the first ball there. Stephen Mullaney animated, just trying to get the attention of Samit Patel, who was maybe distracted by 1 or 2 spectators behind him in the Fox Road stand, wanting autographs and photographs and all the rest of it, chatting to him. Deleda punches this out as far as Afridi on the long on fence, and Afridi does well to get the ball in quickly. Samit getting a bit of a slap across the knuckles from Stephen Mullaney there, albeit they're 30 or 40 yards apart. Harrison bowls, driven nicely by Liam Travaskis down the ground again to Afridi. Look out for this throw, in it comes. Terrific arm as Afridi, and even with it bouncing, it nearly knocked Tom Moores off his feet. 123 for 6. Durham requires 65. So this is Harrison's second over. Comes in from the pavilion end. Bowls, helped away onto the leg side. It's going to fall safe, but inside the boundary rope. Colin Munro over there, scampering round to his left, can't stop it, and 4 runs. So you'd imagine the final 4 will be bowled by a combination of Jake Ball and Shaheen Shah Afridi. They've each got 2 overs left. As usual, the ball inspected by the umpire on its return. Harrison to bowl to Deleda, who's on 49, deserves a 50 and gets his 50, driving it all the way down the ground. Nicely played by Baz Deleda, his first 50 in the blast. It's been an entertaining knock from the Dutchman, and he's keeping his side very much in this. He's come up from 36 deliveries, 5 fours and a 6. Durham 128 for 6. Harrison bowls, and Travaskis throwing the kitchen sink at that one, misses it on I think it was that a Google, Kyle, as it goes through to Tom Moores, who whipped off a bail just in case. End of the over, 128 for 6.
I think it was a googly. I think he's done Travaskis there. Travaskis going on the big slog sweep towards deep mid wicket, and ball's just spun away, and quite nice tidy work from Tom Moores, takes the bails off, but Travaskis back in his crease. No harm done, but nicely bowled. You're right, David, it is going to be Jake Ball from this end to continue. Deleda, really nice 50 that he brought up in that over, deservedly so. Well batted, but still needs 60 runs off these remaining 4 overs.
Yep, even I can do that one. I think 15 and over they require. Jake Ball says he's going to go round the wicket to bowl to Deleda. Let's have a look at the field. Deep set, as you'd expect, on the leg side. 3 out on the fence. The only other one on the leg side is Samit Patel inside the ring at short fine. Might be brought into play if Jake Ball bowls at the pads. Here he comes then, round the wicket, past umpire Middlebrook, bowls, and Deleda slams it away for 4, through the offside this time, through extra cover. Certainly gives the ball a meaty wallop. Baz Deleda, starved really of too many opportunities to get to the crease in this competition so far. He's very, very much enjoying himself out there at Trent Bridge, and moves on to 54.
He has absolutely crunched that through the covers.
Jake Ball's evening began with a wicket first ball. He's in now to Deleda, who'll help it out to Harrison at mid-wicket. Only a single, well, it should be only a single. He fumbled it, and then Harrison's throw comes in, and Moores whips off a bail, but Deleda had got back, and you just cannot afford even the slightest fumble here when you're fielding in the deep, because the batters will seize on the opportunity. There was only ever one, but once that ball just bobbled as it hit the hand, probably at the wrist of Calvin Harrison, just bobbled slightly, and they chanced it, came back for 2 and got there. So 6 runs from the first 2 balls in this over. Ball bowls now. This one's heaved out towards Harrison, not able to get close enough to the ball to attempt a diving catch. Meets it on the bounce, fires it in. So they require 15 and over. They've got 7 from the first 3 here, Durham. They're 135 for 6.
Those are never easy to stop, those, Dave, when it just bounces. When you're running in trying to catch it and it bounces on the end of the wicket square, it always seems to kick on, and Calvin Harrison has done well to pick that up cleanly and fire that in. Doesn't want to give away an extra run.
Durham still in this. Ben Rain, a more than capable player. Nathan Souter and Brandon Glover to come as ball bowls to Travaskis. Scoops this away, and Samit Patel takes the catch. Jake Ball has got Travaskis, who just tried to be too cute, too funky. Tried to get into a position to dink the ball over the keeper, hoping it would run away for 4, and he's picked out Patel, who takes a good catch. 135 for 7.
Well, we see so many players play it nowadays. The reverse scoop. Travaskis trying to do that, hasn't got nearly enough of that. Samit Patel running around takes a very, very simple catch, and well, Durham now lose their 7th, and Jake Ball picks up his 2nd. Durham 135 for 7.
Didn't get to bat Jake Ball, but 2 catches, both of them good ones. An absolute stunner early on, and then a nicely judged one right on the rope. Had to do a little bit of tiptoeing to make sure he didn't topple over. 2 wickets as well. Notts have certainly welcomed him back into the side, and he's delivering. New man. Here's Ben Rain. There's squad number 44. Left-hander. He can give it an almighty wallop as well. They keep on coming, and really there's only one way to go for Durham here. Require 53 from 20 balls. Jake Ball to bowl to the newcomer. Nice and full, hit away, sliced out to deep backward point for a single, so Ben Rain's off the mark. Jake Ball's figures 2 for 25, and he's got 1 ball left in the 3rd over. Been such a good player in this format for many years, but the last couple of years really has been dogged by a whole variety of injuries. Played for England across all 3 formats, of course. Jake Ball in his time. Comes in now to bowl to Deleda, who's on 57. Slams this into the offside and will get a single. That means he'll keep strike. But good stuff from Jake Ball and the Notts Outlaws. Durham 137 for 7. 51 required from 3 overs.
Well, nice over from Jake Ball, picking up another wicket, picking up his 2nd of the evening. Durham still a fair way away, 51 of 18 balls. Be some going to get this against Shaheen Shah Afridi. Deleda will be the man that Notts will want to almost seal it now and do the double over Durham, send them top of the table ahead of their derby against Derby.
Yep, tomorrow night the short journey along the Brian Clough Way, the A52, to meet Derbyshire Falcons, but all attention very much on the job in hand here. Durham require, well, 17 and over, 51 from 3, and Shaheen Shah Afridi comes into bowl. This one slammed into the offside, it should be caught, and the lady gets it. Nice grab by Mullaney, both feet off the ground at extra cover, and Deleda goes for 58, and with him possibly Durham's hopes, 137 for 8, and a Freedy, as he has done in every single game for the Outlaws, amongst the wickets.
Well, I did say that Baz Deleda would be the wicket that Notts would want, and well, they have got it first ball of this over. Baz Deleda looking to hit him over extra cover once again, has not got any bit of that, no timing whatsoever, and Stephen Mullaney takes another very, very simple catch. Baz Deleda goes for a very well played 58, but Durham 137 for 8 now.
You say simple, I say well judged. I think both feet were off the ground. It was almost like he was trying to catch the ball and do a little hurdle as well over the first fence.
Dave, there's no such thing as a simple catch.
No. More royalties for Neil Diamond. You know, we're trying to crank the noise, the atmosphere up in the crowd, the home supporters enjoying what they're seeing as Nathan Souter, who doesn't deserve to be on the losing side, comes to the crease. 4 for 29 earlier on. Freedy bowls to him, and Souter, well, he played that backing away towards the square leg umpire, perhaps expecting Shaheen Shah Afridi to go upstairs, but he didn't. And a single taken, 138 for 8.
Neil Diamond still ringing out around Trent Bridge.
Yes, it's not been a Trent Bridge full house tonight. It's been strange, as Colin was saying earlier. The half of the ground that for most of the evening has been in bright sunshine has been jam-packed, and the half in shade, as you'd expect, fairly sparsely populated as rain drives this into the offside, and he'll only get a single. Ben Rain, possibly, I was going to say, but maybe even too good a player to be wandering in at this stage of the innings, but in a sense he's the sort of player you do want just to try and get you over the line when things are really going against you. But he is a much better player than somebody coming in number 9 in the order. Here comes the Freedy, tall man, left arm quick, bowls now, and nicely played by Souter. Runs it down to third, where Joe Clark doing the fielding. 140 for 8. Notts won't mind singles. It's going to take several rope clearers from Durham if they're going to make this a contest now. 48 required from 14 balls. Notts will have played a game more than most of the sides on 8 points. 2 clear than and some of them, as this is hit, it will go for 4 by Rain. Told you he could hit a bad ball. Drilled that low full toss from Afridi away for 4 runs. 144 for 8. Rain has 6, Souter has 2. We've had many of our splendid friends from the BBC Newcastle area listening to us tonight. Kyle, have you got any words of comfort for them with this situation? 44 required from 13.
Well, I think they can take a little bit on that as Afridi continues.
There he comes already, halfway down the runway. Afridi bowls, and Rain will punch it into the offside. He will keep strike then, so 43 required from 2. It's been done.
It has been, and for our Newcastle listeners, they are still very much in it. I would say they've played a game less. They'll still be second, depending on how badly they lose this evening, with how much their net run rate takes a hit. But there's always still hope, as Jake Ball is going to bowl his final over in his spell in the 19th from the Radcliffe Road end.
Yeah, Jake Ball to bowl to Ben Rain, the left-hander. We have to say the BBC Newcastle area, because there'll be a lot of listeners in Sunderland and in Durham and all over the northeast listening, not just in Newcastle, as Rain has sliced this away for 4. That's a good start for him. He didn't mean it to go there, but if you swing the bat, make contact and get it over the ropes for 4, then job done as far as I'm concerned, and that helps. 39 needed from 11. It just flew away over where first or second slip would normally stand, but of course there's nobody there, and away it went.
They won't care how they get him as long as they get them, and it's not pretty, but it's effective, and 4 to the target, 4 to the total. They need many more of those though.
That's the voice of Kyle van Vollenhoven. He's been playing a little bit for Warwickshire the last couple of years. Now Game or two for Notts seconds. Joining us in the commentary box, this one wide of the off stump and called as wide by umpire Middlebrook, and well, it's pantomime time. Boo, they say. Would have been nip and tuck, but I think that's fair enough. I think there were a few wides that were called when Notts were batting that maybe one or two didn't necessarily agree with in that. So consistency, that's all the players look for. 150 comes up to complete indifference. 150 for 8 means 38 required from 11. Rain on strike. Has he broke his bat? Broke his bat doing nothing. Well, has it made a balsa wood? He's in his crease, tapping his crease there as you do, and he just suddenly told Jake Ball to hang on a minute. His bat's cracked, and doesn't seem as if anybody's brought him a spare one. Ben wants you, guys. What does he want? He wants a bat. Well, you take him. I'm not taking him one. You take him one. We've got a bit of a wait here whilst a bat is brought out, and so we get more tunes as Colin Munro signs autographs for the youngsters in the Fox Road stand. Very popular addition to the Notts staff this year. 150 for 8. Maybe this is his hitting bat.
I think so.
It's a good time to see if it works. Ben Rain has 11. Needs to be on about 35 by the end of this over, you'd imagine. Ball bowls, and he's given that absolutely everything. But Jake Ball might just have been round the block once or twice too many times for Ben Rain, because he bowled a slower ball there that just dibbled and dobbled and hopped its way through to the wicket keeper, with Rain swishing over the top of it, and it's a dot ball.
Really, really nicely well bowled. That from Jake Ball. Rain looking to take him down into the Fox Road stand.
If Notts do get over the line, it'll be 3 wins in a row. Rain has got hold of that one, and that's heading towards the city centre, or is it? Alex Hales on the rope. Hales will catch it! Mighty blow and a mighty catch at the end of it. And Rain goes for 11, and Jake Ball gets his 3rd wicket, and Alex Hales really did judge that one nicely as it left the bat. I thought that was sailing out of the ground. 150 for 9, and there's not much now between Notts and top of the table glory.
Well, Dave, I agree with you. I thought that was 6. The moment it left the bat, it went flying very high into the air. Alex Hales ran around, judged it perfectly, took a lovely catch in front of the Radcliffe Road stand. And Durham, 150 for 9 now, staring down the barrel here. Not 1 wicket away from going to the top of the table.
Just very quickly, a tense finish in the other game of the evening, Middlesex and Sussex, where Sussex Sharks made 181 for 8, Middlesex 175 for 5, requires 7 runs from 2 balls, so Middlesex without a win. A little bit of late drama in that one. The only other game this evening here at Trent Bridge. It's been a glorious day again weather-wise. Expected to be even hotter tomorrow. Notts are at Derby, where it looks as if they're going to go as the North Group table toppers. Brandon Glover is on strike, and he's run his first ball away for 4, so he's not given up the ghost. Didn't have the best of times with the ball earlier. Brandon Glover sent down I think it was something like a 10 ball over, 3 overs, none for 38 his figures, but his final over went for quite a lot. There were 10 balls because of 4 wides that he bowled, but he's off the mark first delivery. 154 for 9, where there's hope and all the rest of it. 34 required from 8 here by Durham. Notts need 1 wicket. Jake Ball trying to deliver it in again to Glover, who's hoisted this one up. Joe Clark rushes in. Calvin Harrison also rushes in, falls between them. Harrison threw himself at the ball. Don't think Clark was going to get there. It's probably the right decision to let Calvin Harrison go for it, but it was not close enough to him, and amidst all of that, they've come back for a couple of runs, and Glover on to 6. 32 required from 7.
Well, that is a very, very nice effort, and probably the right one, as you said, Dave. Harrison probably did definitely need to go for it as ball continues.
There's Jake Ball. 3 for 37. Bowls now, and Glover just either with the shoulder of the bat or indeed the thigh pad, there was some bat on it, just drops it down on the offside and takes a single. Leave it to me, Nathan, he says to Souter. I'll have the single, I'll have the strike, I'll get you 31 from the final over. 157 for 9.
Well, if he does get this 31 from the last over, it will be an incredibly entertaining 31, especially against Shaheen Shah Afridi. Some going that.
There might be 2 or 3 or 4 deliveries that are speared down the leg side for 4 wides, just to help him on his way. I don't necessarily believe he's going to whack Shaheen Shah Afridi out of the ground 5 times, but who knows? Brandon Glover on 7. Afridi 3 overs 1 for 26. Here he comes. One of the most high-profile cricketers in the world. Bowls a really quick delivery past the outside edge and through to Moore's. And I think Glover was thinking about playing it as it thudded into Moore's gloves. And now he's got to hit 5 sixes in a row just to tie.
He looks about a week late on that, Dave.
I'm with him. I'm with Brandon. I wouldn't have seen it.
No, if that was to me and that was straight, my middle stump would be out the ground. That was fast.
There's Afridi from the pavilion end. Glover on strike. Shaheen Shah Afridi bowls to him. Clipped up in the air. Down the ground. It'll fall short of Jake Ball on this occasion. And just a single taken. A little bit anticlimactic, but it does mean that Notts, barring an absolute disaster with overstepping or accuracy problems for Shaheen Shah Afridi, Notts are going to win this one. It'll be an 8th consecutive victory over Durham. There's Afridi in now and bowls, and worked away by Souter down to Clark at third man. These things are cyclical, as we all know. There were many occasions in the early years of the T20 Blast where Notts couldn't get a result either home or away against Durham. It has turned a little bit in recent times, but I'm sure it'll turn back. 159 for 9. Afridi then to bowl to Glover. Notts require 1 wicket. Afridi bowls down the leg side, and did it brush something? It must have brushed something. Morse took it down the leg side. I don't know if Brandon Glover is entirely amused by the decision not to give a wide, or if he knows it did brush something, but certainly from our angle here, felt he might just have been a little hard done to.
I agree. I thought that was a wide. It must have brushed something.
Must have done. 29 is the difference between the two sides. Afridi bowls. Glover works it into the offside out to Calvin Harrison. And, well, it looks very much now, unless something happens from this final ball, as if Durham are going to at least avoid being bowled out. You never like to be bowled out inside 20 overs. They've given it their all. Notts posted 187 for 7. Nathan Souter with 4 wickets for 29. Doesn't really deserve to be on the losing side. At least he's ending the match at the crease. Afridi into Souter. Bowls now, and Souter deflects it. Fine, it'll be a single, but Notts have won, and Notts are going to go top of the North Group. They've restricted Durham to 161, and they've won this by 26 runs. A whole team performance from Notts. They struggled really at stages in their innings before posting 187, with Monroe making 49, Hales 39, Souter terrific with the ball with 4 wickets, but then Notts have just managed to keep a lid on things when Durham began their chase. 3 wickets for Jake Ball, 3 for Samit Patel, a couple for Carter and 1 for Shaheen Shah Afridi. Durham finish on 161 for 9, and Notts are top of the table.
Most definitely great result for the Notts Outlaws, and they'll be very pleased with that going into tomorrow's clash. Top of the table, thoroughly deserve the win today. They batted beautifully in the power play, bar the early hiccup that was Joe Clark, and superb bowling from Samit Patel, and Matthew Carter has seen them over the line here against Durham, and they win comfortably.
Yeah, that partnership of 83 between Hales and Monroe for the second wicket after Joe Clark had gone early. I mean, it seemed significant at the time, but the longer the evening's gone, the more important it seemed. The major contribution. Clark and Lees have scored good runs in this season's competition, so much so that Durham's middle and lower order haven't been required to even go to the crease for most of the time this season. But once Lees had gone to Sammy Patel's first ball and Graham Clark had gone to Matt Carter, there was always a case for Notts putting their foot on the Durham middle order, and that's exactly what happened. They took pace off the ball, and they'll be absolutely delighted. They've won 3 in a row. Last Friday, when they lost here to Worcestershire, 2 wins, 3 defeats. They were down again about 7th in the table, and you thought, well, this is going to be a big weekend. But they went to Edgbaston and won, and they beat Lancashire here on Sunday. And I think the confidence they've got from those 2 wins has been carried into this evening, and although they were looking for a score of more than 200, they've been able to comfortably defend 187, and will go to Derby now looking to maybe even extend their lead at the top of the group.
Could not agree with you more. Notts will be incredibly happy with that, and deserve the win this evening, I think, and 3 wins on the bounce shows that they're playing some really good cricket, and they'll be feeling very confident going into tomorrow.
Thank you to Kyle van Vollenhoven and to Dave Bracegirdle as well for talking you through the final few overs of Nottinghamshire's win then here against Durham, and it is a win which puts Notts at the top of what remains an extremely tight northern group. Notts moving on to 10 points tonight, but Durham, Worcestershire, Birmingham, Lancashire, Yorkshire all on 8 points, and then Derbyshire, who Notts go to tomorrow, are on 6 points, and so too are Northamptonshire. So it is still extremely close. Leicestershire, the only side really which is cut adrift, they are on 2 points at the foot of the table, having only won once so far. Notts, though, have played a game more than almost every other county. Just Lancashire and Notts have played 8 games so far, and tomorrow at Derbyshire will therefore be Notts' 9th game of the T20 Blast. But they're certainly coming into form, and here at Trent Bridge tonight they have entertained a decent crowd on another warm evening, although there's a little bit of a chill in the air now that the sun's gone, and they've got victory by 26 runs. It started in spectacular fashion as usual really from Messrs Hales and Munro.
Kirsten, man. Yeah. Okay. Do the result today. We haven't know the result today.
We're in, Jake, we're in.
We're going?
We're going, we're live.
Nice.
Kirsty says we're live.
Oh.
Yes, so the Outlaws win by 26 runs. I mean, it says 76.
Get it right.
Get it right.
76.
I'm, as you can see, joined by Jake Ball. Mr. Ball.
Hello, mate.
Played a pivotal role in that victory there. You must have enjoyed it. It looked like it was good fun out there, especially with the ball.
Yeah, it's nice. Obviously, my first game at Trent Bridge this year, so nice to get out there, nice to get an early catch, which was unbelievable. I don't know how that one stuck, but yeah, just nice to get out there and get the win on the belt.
For you, how frustrating has it been, obviously, watching, like you say, this is the first time this season at Trent Bridge, your second game in this campaign. How have you found watching and now playing?
I much prefer playing than watching, but yeah, it's always frustrating when you pick up little niggles. It was just something that stuck around a little bit longer than it probably should have done, and just wasn't quite ready for the start. But hopefully now behind me, and I can play a full part in the rest of the tournament.
Durham came here top of the table. What kind of statement have the Outlaws just made?
I think it's a small statement, I think, but I think that the group's so tightly bunched. You know, the people at the top's going to change probably every game, so it's so tightly bunched up. I think we just need to focus on what we're doing. 3 on the bounce now. That's big. After that, to bounce back after that Worcester result, yeah, it's massive. Says a lot about the character in the dressing room and the experience in the dressing room. So hopefully we can keep that going and take it forward to Derby tomorrow.
2 games for yourself, like we've just mentioned. 6 wickets, 3 in the first, 3 in the this game here. Six wickets out of 2. Thank you very much. I got a C, so I'm proud of that. Yeah. Just how nice is it, obviously, to pick up those wickets after a bit of an injury and just in 2 games? Yeah,
I see it as my sort of role. I can be a little bit expensive at times, I get that, but I like to take the risks to take the wicket. So it paid off for me these 2 games that I've just played. So keep doing that, and wickets reduce run rate. So always looking to take the positive option, always looking to take the wickets.
You just said there you take a bit of responsibility, obviously, as a senior bowler, if you will, in this pack. With the injuries that we've had, obviously players missing, have you felt a little bit extra pressure, or have you taken some responsibility, especially with people like Shaheen? Obviously he's a world-class bowler, but coming into a new side and experienced in bowling at Trent Bridge?
No, I wouldn't say. I think we sort of share it out quite nicely. I think everybody knows their roles. I think that was one big thing we talked about at the start of the tournament was making sure that everyone has that role clarity of what's expected of them when we go out on the field. I feel like we sort of maybe drifted away from that last year and a bit the previous year. So it's nice to have that role clarity, know what your job is, so when you go out there you can be clear and deliver your skill.
And just finally, Derby away tomorrow. From the result that we had at Worcester, has it just shown great character that we've responded in the way that we have, but does it also show that momentum is a massive key in T20?
It is, and Morsey says it quite a lot, but tournaments like this are not necessarily how you start, it's how you finish and how you take that momentum, how you take some learnings in the early games. The first 2 or 3 games, I think we knew that we was below par and we weren't at where we should be, but I think the experience and the dressing experience we got in the coaching staff, we was able to identify that, put it right, and I think we're getting better and better with each game we're going. That certainly can be a positive.
Certainly can. Well, it's been lovely to see you out on the field and not moping around in our dressing rooms and behind the scenes. But thank you very much. I'm going to ask you if you can. Unfortunately, people want me to speak to Samit.
Why?
I don't know.
Where is he? He's signing autographs.
I'm just going to take the mic off you because if you can, yeah.
Shall I just take the mic straight to him?
If you're going to take the mic, don't say anything because you are live.
Samit!
Yeah, he's coming over. So yes, just to recap on a few things, that the Outlaws won by 26 runs. They go to the top of the table with that result. I am joined by Mr. Samit Patel. Super Samit Patel, you love playing T20 at the Bridge. Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I loved it. Any win at Bridge is fantastic, and we've been playing some really good cricket at the minute, and that's topping a good week off in the bid.
I just asked Jake Ball there, after the result against Worcester here, what does it show about the character, the people that are in that dressing room to bounce back the way that we have and to continue with this momentum that we're building?
Well, we spoke as a group. We said that no one's going to feel sorry for us. We have to turn it around, and to go away from home, to beat Birmingham at Birmingham, and then to come back and beat Lancs after 3 in a row was a credit to our group. And then we talk about momentum shift. We did it. We beat Lancs, and then we're starting again today. And we've got a big game tomorrow night against Derby,
which I'm sure you're looking forward to.
I'm loving the fact that we can go down to 52 and nick the points again, hopefully.
Are you ready for the barrage that you're going to get from the Derby fans?
What's new? Derby versus Notts. We know. I know I get it, but that's exactly what gets me going for that game.
If you can't thrive on that, you can't thrive on anything, can you?
Absolutely. Local derby, packed house, on Sky, so hopefully it's going to be a good day.
Just finally, top of the table now. That North group is just so tight. Obviously we've got a game tomorrow against Derby, then a break. How important is it to finish tomorrow on a good result and just leave the boys wanting more, wanting something out of those three weeks break that we've got?
Absolutely. I think that it's crucial that we finish with a high tomorrow. I spoke about momentum. It's a big game. It's a derby. Yeah, it's going to leave us in good stead. I think they're playing really good cricket. They knocked off 207 the other night against Birmingham, who we regard as a good team, and so are Derby. There's some good teams in our group, and it's all congested. We know that, but yeah, it's Derby.
Got your team tour ready?
Ready.
Good. Lovely to see you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right, thank you very much to Samit Patel there. Go on then, I'll take it for you. Yes, thank you very much to Mr. Samit Patel. So that's it for Trent Bridge Live for a T20 for a few weeks. The Outlaws do go down the A52, down the Brian Clough way to face arch rivals Derbyshire tomorrow. They sit top of the table, so they'll be going there in a good mood. From everybody at Trent Bridge Live, we'll be back on Sunday when the County Championship returns. But from the T20 point of view, it's a very good night from us all here at Trent Bridge.